All right, we are back live for another edition of the GG Millions. This is episode number 55. Our friend, the man, the myth, there he is, Mike Wasserman, joins us again. Mike, how's it going, brother?
Not too bad. I'm excited to be on here again. Thank you for having me. I enjoy watching a bunch of sickos battle it out for hundreds of thousands of dollars. So, yeah, I'm ready to get into the action and kind of get my head into that mind space of.
Sorry, my son's coming by here. Yeah, you're just before I interrupt, he's ready for bed. I'm in different times right now. Just before I start to interrupt you there, Mike, where you are, you're not in Vegas yet, or you are going to play the WSOP right now?
I am not in Vegas yet, but I will be there this weekend for the Monster Stack. So I'm excited to get in there.
That's amazing. And we are, again, Mike, we're going to talk about a lot of what you've done. I know you just took down some very special events. Also, Sunday Million winner. You can see the pedigree of our guests today. We always seem to have the best guests in the world, which is one of the things I love the most about the GG Millions. Again, here, episode 55. We're going to talk about your World Series of Poker plans. We're going to talk about who we have at this final table today. An absolutely stacked final table, which seems to be the case in the GG Millions all the time. But we're going to go ahead and take a look at who we have today, what we're playing for as usual, massive prize pool. And Mike, we're gonna display the players, but are you familiar? How familiar are you with some of these players today?
Let's see. Let me pull the list up over here.
As you run through that again, we're gonna see what we're playing for. Again, 1,610,000 in the prize pool. It is a loaded prize pool, as well as one of the things I love the most is it's just like a casual Tuesday. Over $323,000 to first place. Everyone guaranteed 46,000. Such a treat to be here again. Appreciate you being here as you're taking a look. We're gonna flash those final table players for you in a second. I saw multiple winners have taken down a title on the GG Million before, and then of course some people with the multiple chance to win more than one, as that is not easy to do. We've seen some players have as many as 14, 15 tries and not take it down. And Pedro Neves, no stranger to the bright lights there, 91 big blinds. You can see he is your chip leader today, all the way down to 13 big blinds. And it looks like no Brazil representation today. Austria, I think, has been at 99% of the final tables. Christoph Vogelsang, may have heard of him. He is here today. Some other massive names. And when I was thinking there was no Brazil, there is a Brazil player, Lisflower, in the building. Mike, any players you're familiar with here?
Yeah, I mean, I've played with Arsenii a bit in some of my higher stakes MTTs. Juan Dominguez, obviously, legend. Chris Klodnicki, pretty familiar with him. Liz, I know I've played with, but I'm not too familiar. It seems like they came up in the last couple years in like the mid to high stakes scene, so I'm not sure. And yeah, I mean, they all look a bit familiar to me, but I've not played with all of them. But I might have some reads or insights as we get into this.
Well, we're gonna be talking about that. We're gonna have a giveaway for the audience, of course, the $50 or $100 ticket. We're also gonna have our dinner wager. I know we're racking up. This is how many? Is this third, fourth time, Mike? You are one of the maybe the most time guest on, at least with my stint with the show. What is this? 3 or 4 for you?
This is the fourth one. You've won 2 and I've won 1. So you're ahead by 1. So let's see what happens today.
we're gonna have to figure out how to make that into a dinner where it's where we can combine, especially if we somehow go 2 and 2. We'll have to put something in it. Want to do it quick? We're gonna run through that. Let you choose red or black for today. What do you want for the sweat?
Yeah, I'll go black.
You're going black. I got red. Audience at home, it'll be a $50 ticket. It'll be a GG ticket, $50 cash if you are on Michael's side. If one of the players he selects wins, it'll be $100. If one of my players win, that'll be a tournament ticket. We're going to go ahead and do a red or black, and then we'll draft for that. Again, watching at home, I'm going to have a tweet on my Jeff Gross Poker Twitter. That is, as always, $50 cash giveaway. Just gave away $2,000 giveaway on Twitch from the Hustler stream. Got to take down. I don't know if you got to check that out, Mike. That was a cash game, sort of sit and go format, hybrid there for a few weeks ago. So I love giveaways, and we do have at least $100 in giveaways, if not 150 today. And we got ourselves a decision, King Jack suited right off the bat, where it is one of those hands. Solver World loves to play aggressive, knows Lisflower's capable of a light 3-bet here. What do you like with the King Jack suited? Huge ICM implications.
With ICM, this is a tough spot. I'd be surprised if the thing about these spots is you don't know the history that they have with each other. But I wouldn't feel too comfortable firsthand of the final table just peeling here, or even 4-bet shoving, unless I had a strong read that they're capable, that the opponent's capable of having an ace 7 suited here. So I might lean towards the passive action in this particular spot, which may be calling or folding.
It is a red flop, by the way. Both players are interested with backdoor, nut flush draw, king high, two overs, second nut flush draw. You chose
I chose
color.
black.
So,
Yeah.
okay, red, I get first pick. I'm going to take a second to let this develop as I get acclimated. Now, look at this. This is a rare sight. We got two flush draws, both very strong holdings. No player with a pair, so hard to make in No Limit Texas Hold'em, as we are seeing here. But both players going to be interested with this. And now, I mean, really interesting on the stack size. We see a 500K stack there from Vlad. And these two players both are the other two shortest stacks. And very interesting now who's going to go for it. I mean, Liz actually has the best hand. May not think so. I guess suited Broadways come to mind of hands that is ahead of. Other than that, going to be losing the mid pairs. But I don't know. Mid pair, you might have played differently, right, at this stage and at this how this is played out. So what do you do here if you're Liz?
I kind of like personally. I always go out on a limb here and say it ahead of time, but I actually like a check back here because you already have ace high. And the problem is if you bet here and he check jams or check raises, like you have too much equity to fold. So I think checking is optimal. Also, in the event that you actually make your hand, it's pretty disguised. So, and you can get value here from a lot of bluffs. So I would expect a fair amount of bluffing here from out of position. Especially given that like the weaker parts of his range, like king, queen, and jack high type hands, or even like a 9-10 suited or something, which he may not open pre-flop. Yeah, so okay. So he's just gonna value bet and it's probably just gonna fold. The question here, I guess, for Liz is do you go small and target the bottom, or do you just like hope that he has a hand you can call with and just go big?
Yeah, such a bizarre kind of run out, and both players so on the board, and then the nut flush comes home on the river. So, like, great point. This is something I think that the great players do. They know where they're at, they understand situations, and then they get the right sizing. Now, of course, in this particular case, it's not going to probably matter, right? King Jack of Hearts, it doesn't. I don't really know what can do here to get called by, but at the same time, do you go for all of it? Do you make a smaller bet? Do you think your opponent is, where do they stand? So I'm curious what Liz does. Does go for the jugular, maybe thinking somehow could have sevens, or I don't know, some hand that just decides a strong ace high, right? May call ace queen or something. May decide that they have the best hand if they have the right sort of like a club in there. So interesting spot. Liz is going to chip up, important pot to start, and we are going to do the draft. I'm going to go and kick it off. Pedro Neves, one-time final table GG Millions, one-time winner, has a chip lead. I will select Pedro first, and you are going to get the second and third pick.
All right. I'm grateful for getting second and third here. I'll take
I actually looking at it. I just thought about as a complete punt of it. Like literally, I mean, I deserve this.
No.
Nice. It's a punt. It's a punt. That was a good play to go ahead. I know you're going to do it. Smart. You got. That was teed up. This is one of the times where actually winning the flip and going second, I think would have been better. But go ahead, do your thing.
I'll take vogelsang and Juan Dominguez.
Nice. That's strong. Now I got a unknown who is one maybe from Croatia, the only unknown I think with any earnings at all. Is complete wild card is there, but also Arsenii, who has a pedigree in the GG Millions. Tough player. I guess I'm going to go with Arsenii there with Malinov, who has, I believe, at least one. I think has won several, but I'm going to double check that. I think, let's see, Arsenii has what? Let's take a look here. One in season one. Multiple final tables, is a winner, as well as over 10 million in GG earnings. So I will take Arsenii.
Okay. I'll pick after this hand. So both my 2 and 3 picks, or 1 and 2 picks on my side, are battling it out here. Well, if Juan wants to get crazy, maybe he finds a 5-bet shove. But mostly gonna go 4-bet fold here, I think. Let's see. These guys are capable of all. I mean, these two are capable of all things. So I would like to. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Pretty interesting. As an interest, you're right. Definitely the hand. One of the hand candidates is a stone bluff, as you could see, would have about 33% equity, right? The suited wheel ace versus anything but aces, including kings or ace king. And here would be, I mean, Chris really, vogelsang, been known to tank, been known to kind of hide in his hoodie. He is gonna just flat though, as it turns out, will be interesting with the wheelbarrow draw there. The 3 would complete the straight for one. One of the powerful points of the suited wheel ace is the straight capability with that versus like ace 6 or 7. So this is a spot where he's got the backdoor and a flush draw, does flop a gut shot, and now Christoph Vogelsang has really slipped some nice rope here as Juan is going to go. And do you like just check calling it as a line played, or do you start getting pushing money in here now?
On this board, I think he's just going to go with a call. Like, this is just such a dry texture. And the reason that he calls is to trap, because he knows that Juan is capable of not having it here, right? And he knows when he 4-bets, it's gonna kind of sap a lot of the value from his kings, because Juan has 3-bet bluffs that he folds to a 4-bet. So he's keeping all of the bluffs in by just calling. He may also do this with hands like, I mean, if he's doing it with kings, he's also doing it with aces, queens, jacks, tens. He also is going to have some suited connectors and stuff that he's just not folding to the 3-bet. And I think one of the meta parts of this particular hand is that when Vogelsang opens in this spot, he's effectively the chip leader opening into these stacks. Now that Pedro folded pre-flop, and it did go check. Oh no, went check. Yeah, check on the turn, right? When he picked up equity. So pretty interesting. He decided not to double barrel this and to just like realize his equity by checking back.
What about a donk lead here? Or do you think maybe even a check and you let your opponent just kind of put him on some like kind of bluff like this? Or if he hit his, it's kind of hard to really have him hit the king though, right? When you have kings. So as played, the sizing is super interesting to me, and he doesn't go big here.
I like it. I like it.
Yeah.
The reason he goes this sizing, well, of course he has 2 kings in his hand, right? So it's hard for Juan to have kings, but what would his range bet in this spot? You know, when he has like a 10, or when he has like a pocket pair that's block betting, right? Like 8s or 7s or something. He's going to go this sizing. So he's doing this for thin value, but also inducing bluffs from hands like this.
Yeah, this is a beautiful hand. This is honestly, you can just see the wheel spinning. Juan may take this bait. Like honestly, if you really think about it, other than traps like kings or aces, he blocks aces. And now on this river, I guess he's thinking, I think, does he have jack queen suited here sometimes as played, something like this? And he's thinking about what can he get away with? Can he really get away with just ripping it here? I mean, Juan is capable. 20 million in earnings, GGMillion's champion, and just an all-around crusher. So this could get interesting. He definitely could go for this.
Yeah, if he does take this spot, I don't think he's going to shove, because, I mean, that's just what I think. That Vogelsang can still have a set of 9s. Yeah, so he's risen on a shove. Yeah.
Wow. And I mean, the interesting part now is for Vogelsang, who has effectively the nuts, right? Other than jack queen, does Juan ever raise jack queen suited as a 3-bet pre-flop? And if the answer is no, then you can just kind of comfortably put it in here.
I think he probably does have some queen jacks in his range. Like at final tables, I think you can find people taking these spots with queen jack suited, whereas in like the earlier stages they might be flatting it. But again, these are the best at what they do. I think he goes for value here and just puts the rest in, because it's kind of a funny spot, right? Because he checked back the turn. So like Juan is capped here, and he shouldn't have a lot of bluffs in this spot. But at the same time, like what is Juan actually, or what is Vogelsang actually getting called by when he shoves? He's going to shove. I just don't see a world where maybe he min re-raises or something, but he's definitely going to put more money in. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I don't think he does have Jack Queen suited really pre-flop as a 3-bet there. I don't think so. Maybe there is. They're off. You do think that's in there?
At some frequency. I mean, not at a high frequency, but I think he's
Right.
capable of having that hand. Most
Right.
of the time, people are flatting Queen Jack suited. You're right, but
Yeah, I don't see Queen Jack off as like a 3-bet bluff much. Maybe not at this stage either. 9, that maybe at the most intense part of the ICM between 8 and 12, sort of juncture of the tournament. I don't know if that's going to go for. As played, Christoph going to get
yeah,
a really nice. I think the key to that hand is that river bet size. Why do you check? Do you bet? And if you bet, or what size? And just really to your point, found a nice size to target, get someone to bluff, and also going to get paid off once in a while too. Some, kind of lightish hands. So really, really well played. Christoph is your, I believe, chip leader, right? Nevis right there. He's right in the mix there, slight leader. And where did we leave off at? It was your pick, correct?
yeah. So I want to pick Klodnicki, but due to the stack, I mean, I can't pay a 2-to-1 premium to pick him. So I'm going to go with the Croatian in the 0 seat here, Dinzvaz.
Okay. Yeah, it's a big ask for chips. I mean, I'm super biased to Brazil. I always say it, but I'm going to go with Klodnicki there at 1.35. Over 10 million in live earnings, just has what it takes to win events. Over 10 million in GG earnings as well. Pretty crazy. There's 20 million earnings, not counting all the other sites or whatnot. So that is I'm going to go with Klodnicki there.
Yeah, Chris is just an absolute legend, man. Like,
yeah,
I don't. Yeah, I'm not sure how his like 3-handed down game. It must be good, right? Because I mean, he's just been doing this for so long. But I know that he is deep. He plays high stakes live, high stakes online, and he's still doing it. 15, 16 years in. Like, he's just a complete boss. I'll take Liz from Brazil as my pick.
Yeah. Also, want to double check how many titles. Want to say at least I know 1, if not 2. Let's see on our notes here. We've got
For Chris.
For Liz, Chris, I don't believe has won a GGMillion. Does have a lot of, again, 10 million in earnings on GG. For Lisflower, does actually not have a title. I don't think. Just has multiple final tables and over 5 million in earnings on GG. So there we go. So you got Liz, and then what is that? It's on me. We have
Guillermo or Vlad, the 2 guys in the hand.
Yeah, I guess I'll take a peek here. I guess King Jack with the heart looks pretty nice in this spot. Is that a Montenegro flag after the Triton Montenegro? Seeing some good representation from there. And Vlad, is not as familiar with this player. Have you played on GG with Vlad?
I recognize the name, but nothing comes to mind.
Okay, no, he has some GGMillion, almost 1 million in earnings, but no titles here. And I'm gonna actually go with Guillaume, who has some more experience and over 7 million in earnings, although that pot does go Vlad's way. So I guess that'll
no take backs.
Okay. Yeah, no, I'm not. I'm going with that. We're set in, right? $50 and $100 audience that we're sweating for in about 5 minutes. I'll have the Twitter post up. I'll put the link in on my Jeff Gross Poker Twitter when that is up. Giveaways are going, and here we go. We see a pretty.
GG.
Oh, these are good players, though, right?
Yeah, I guess it's neutral for me, but
yeah,
I think. Yeah, I think I'd rather have Juan win the chips, but I don't think that's gonna. 80% of the time, that's not happening.
No guarantee, but this is going to be a train wreck for Juan, who just runs into kings and then gets kings. It is 9-handed, but still, when you get kings at a final table, you start talking about ace king suited, queens, these strong hands where you kind of get in these weird spots. But this is one of the unavoidable ones. This is set over set territory. Second nut flush, kings, aces. There's just these guys are too good, right? People are playing, they're 3-betting, 4-betting, ace 4 suited. You're just not laying down kings. And there it is. No meal of it. They get it in. Kings to aces, 80% roughly. Ace high needs running straight. Not going to be the case. Juan Dominguez, not how he drew up this final table, but again, 20 million in GG earnings alone. That is a one of those things where you just don't feel too bad for the man. You know he's going to be back. You know he's got the goods. He'll be in the mix. I think one of the stronger players in poker at the moment. What would you say to that?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Besides maybe vogelsang, I would say he's the best. He's probably just the best at this final table, and definitely one of the best in the world at no limit tournaments for sure.
Yeah, 11 million lifetime earnings, fourth, only behind Adrian Mateo, Sergio Ado, Carlos Mortensen. That is who is ahead of him on the Spain list with 11 million in live, 20 million on GG. So again, man, if you're watching at home and you're taking a look and you're thinking about who's in these tournaments, what you're watching, these are a lot of years of experience, a lot of class, and really some players maybe less known that have satellited in or taking a shot. You know, it's not bad to get in for 100 to 500, 1,000 satellite in here, but you're gonna have to beat some really tough opponents to take this down. Like, this is no cakewalk at the GG Millions to get it done here, as we see a lot of household names.
This is an interesting spot for ace 10. I could see all options on the table. Yeah, even I think folding is the least likely there, but I could see calling. I could see 3-bet folding, and I could also just see folding. Pretty interesting though. Let's see how he like approaches a lot of these like marginal spots as the final table goes on. If he keeps choosing that like passive action, or if he attacks. What were you gonna say, Jeff?
I was a couple things. I guess number one, I was going to ask you about the GG Global Millions win. I believe it was a $50 tournament. When was that, and how much was that for? That's those are some big fields.
That was like a year and a half ago, I think. Yeah, I mean, bagged in the $50 one where they have like a bunch of day ones the whole week, and then day two is on Sunday. I bagged like 60 bigs or 50 bigs or something, and then ended up making a deep run, made the final table. You know who was at that final table was Pocket Zeros.
I remember
Yeah.
that. Yeah, that's my bad.
I couldn't believe he was at the final table with me. I was just
how many entries are we talking?
Oh, there was like almost 20,000, like 19,500.
Wow.
Yeah, and I had to contend with Pocket Zeros, who came in 8 or 9 out of 9, and was in there 4-hand or 5-handed battling with me. I like kept chipping up, and I was just like, oh my god, like I would.
Wow, 50 hours. So what did that pay?
So I ended up winning it no chop for 86K or something for $50. Like, how can you beat that?
That's awesome. That's fun. That's I'm talking. Think about, speaking of $50, $50 giveaway today on my Twitter. Be up in a second, as well as the $50 or $100 ticket going to be from GG today. So again, stay tuned. Let us know where you're watching from. Hit that thumbs up if you're enjoying yourself in the chat. That will be part of the giveaway with the keyword at the end. $50, man. You never know, right? That's the stories we love to hear. Anyone in the audience out there, let us know if you have any free roll or $50 sort of deposit, small deposit, big run up. Love to hear those stories. And of course, that's not always going to be the case, but it does happen, and it's good to see.
So the craziest thing is not within 6 months after I won that. You remember you had Brian Paris on the show a little while ago, and I created Mid Stakes Mastery with him. That's our course about how to crush mid stakes, which is my lane, you know, and it's Brian's lane too. I couldn't believe in our chat, you know, it was like our group Skype chat with me, a couple people that we study with. Brian says, I chopped the Global Millions for first. And I was like, what? And that one had like over 20,000, had like 22,000 people in it or something. So within 6 months, I won it, and then he chopped it and won it. And I just like, it blew my mind. I was like, how did we both get through this field? Pretty amazing story. So, you know, I always look up to Brian, and I was like really, I felt really lucky to be able to make Mid Stakes Mastery with him, and to be able to open up, you know, lines of communication and get to study with him and go through his hands and stuff. So
That's awesome. We're going to see a interesting spot here with the small 3-bet and then jacks from a short stack. I mean, this is, I guess, like not a dream scenario, but you're asking a lot. There's really no way to avoid this as well. I think, especially with the positions, this isn't under the gun +1, under the gun plus mid position. This is a short stack who will have some raised folds off their stack, and then also a big stack who's going to put in some light 3-bets now and again. Either way, you got jacks. You're going to flip maybe most of the time here, but going to get shown the bad news, and aces are going to put it in as, again, another big collision, 4-1 favorite. Jacks at risk, short stacked behind a king 8-5, needs help, needs a jack only 5% on the river, or we will be out of 2 players. It is no face, no shot. Good game there. Unknown takes it down, and Guillaume, I took him. I'm losing. I mean, again, I don't love my start. I feel like you got a little better deal. Pedro Neves, do have the chip leader, but Christoph is now there, and again, it's we're moving and shaking. So this is going relatively quickly. You can see the payouts in the lower left. Another good showing. WSOP going on at the World Series, so going to be a little lighter on entries likely, as we're noticing this a massive one. Jonathan Jaffe was on almost 7 million the first recent show. And Mike, what is your plans on the WSOP? What events are you going to play and when?
Yeah. For WSOP, I'll be out there for, like I was saying at the beginning, for the monster sack. And then I'm just going to be out there for the duration. So that's actually the first time in like 10 years that I'm just going to stay there the whole time. I usually take a break like in the middle and just come home and relax for a week and then go back.
Yeah.
So it's going to be a challenge to not get burnt out, to not find myself at 4 different casinos in one day when I'm busting 1K, 1,500. Oh, there's a 3,500. Oh, there's it can get a bit crazy out there. But if you don't let it get to, this is a pretty big cooler spot. I think Chris is probably going to end up on the good side of a big pot here. This is an interesting spot because I think King 10, Queen 10, and Jack 10 don't check raise very often. I could be wrong about that. Maybe King 10 does. But like at 30 effective, I'm a little unsure here. But at like 25 and 20 big blinds, there's a lot of check calling with King 10, Queen 10, and Jack 10. And then you start check raising like your worst 10s and your best 10. One, because they have lower visibility on future streets, and then for ace 10 obviously is just for value. But a hand like, if he defended 10-8 suited here, he would be check raising a lot too, because it just has lower visibility on future streets. But with a hand like King 10, you can check call here, or Queen 10, you can check call, and when the turn's a queen, you have 10s up or queens up or whatever, and your opponent can be dominated and just have 3 outs.
Yeah. No player with the spade draw here. I mean, there's not a ton of draws to check raise other than spades on the 10-4 deuce in terms of what his range looks like in the small blind. But as it turns out, ace 10 does make top 2 comfortable. And King 10 is still, like, how worried about the ace are you? I guess it's probably ace 10. I mean, I guess there's some suited, maybe ace.
Yeah, there's definitely some aces. He can have some wheel aces. I guess with a hand like aces up, this is his only aces up combo, because like for the most part, because even ace 2 of spades would probably just check call. It just has so much equity, right? And then he might actually find a full. I think this is a really unlucky river for Chris. He feels obviously much more comfortable with his hand rivering top 2, but
yeah, you worried you're getting trapped by jacks or queens. Someone play, just calling their check raise and letting you go to work here. But I think Pedro, yeah, you can see even with the ace coming, he was. I think you're right. Claude got pretty unlucky. A lot of rivers here. King 10's gonna have to just pay off and most likely call here. Though I still thinking about calling with the ace.
I don't think so.
Good fold.
Here's the thing: what check raise bet bluffs does he have there? Like the front door a lot of his front door flushes are like check calling. Maybe in chip EV at earlier stages of the tournament, he'll find more check raises, but I think like there's a lot of equity realization at final tables and slightly less check raising. So like he doesn't have as many bluffs as he probably needs to have to be calling there with the 10 or heroing, whatever the hero call is. A 10 is the same as whatever, you know, a 7, you know. So
Yeah.
I just don't. I think that spot is like under bluffed on the river, and like the guy can have ace X of spades in position there. He can have like ace king with the ace of spades or whatever it may be. And I didn't see the turn sizing for Chris. We were chatting, but I would assume because of the stack sizes that it was a pretty small bet on the turn. And so I just I don't think he has enough bluffs. Like just in general in that spot.
Yeah.
It's not.
It's a pretty loaded hand here. We got ace 8 suited in the big, nice hand. We got under the gun raising with queen 10 suited as one of the chip leaders. Kings again for Mr. Vogelsang, ace 5 suited, a hand that could get in there at points, not with this action. And then sevens also short stack is in a spot where they would be like to play most of the time, except for this with the raise, re-raise out the gate. And, you know, Klodnicki thinking about it. Sevens with that action going to fold. Ace 8 suited, same thing. Nice hand, but not going to be contending with the open up the action and not closing the action. Ace 8 suited, open 3-bet, early positions. Not much to think about here. Queen 10 suited. It's again, you're out of position. It doesn't feel like the time. You're sitting so good with 3 mil. Do you really want to call? They're deep though. They are deep.
I don't think so. This is a horrible spot for him.
Yeah, no, I don't. Oh my goodness.
I mean, he might 4-bet fold, but he's not going to call and play this pot. Like 0 chance. Like they're basically 1-2 in chips. Like, I'm not surprised to see the 4-bet here, but like he doesn't want to flat here and like play this pot against Vogelsang out of position with a hand that's directly dominant. This is like a decent hand to 4-bet fold. Ace 10, like king jack, queen 10, like these hands with like a lot of blockers. As we've seen, Vogelsang just peeled against Klodnicki's 3-bet with kings, and now against the 4-bet range, which is very polarized, he's either running into it or he's way ahead, right? So he's again like he's just calling and playing a pot. Now he's in position rather than out of position against Klodnicki, or not Klodnicki, sorry, Juan Dominguez with the ace 4. This will be interesting because I think on this board texture, I mean, this is the difference. Like for me, I have a little bit of anxiety in this spot where I'm looking at this board texture and I'm like, man, there's so many bad turn cards. I kind of want to protect my hand. So if I face a bet on this flop, I would feel compelled to raise. But at the same time, Vogelsang is like so capable of reading hands that he might not feel that same anxiety and just peel and play turns and rivers and not be afraid to fold this hand if that's what the play is. But at the moment, he's definitely not considering folding. Right. And another thing is like, this is a 4-bet. So when you think about the action here pre-flop, when Pedro 4-bets and this board comes, it actually favors Vogelsang because Vogelsang can have a hand like 10s or 9s or ace 10 or ace 9 or jacks, queens, kings, ace. He can have all these hands. Still, even though he just called, he can have kings and aces, obviously, right? Because this is a 4-bet pot. This actually favors Vogelsang, I think, because he can have 9s and 10s here. He can also have some straight draws. He can have some flush draws. Whereas Pedro, once he 4-bets, his range is really condensed to like hands that are higher than a 10. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I think Pedro, Pedro has to be very careful here. Like,
no player with a heart, which is interesting. There is a heart flush draw. Both players, that's there are some suited hands here, and Queen 10 suited isn't definitely not convinced they're beat at this point. And there's a lot of money. SPR is like 1 for Pedro, right? 2.1 million. He's got 2 million. Christoph 2.7, checks back even. What a run out for vogelsang. I mean, this really could be a problem for Pedro. And to your point, I think Christoph's so comfortable post flop. He's so like
it's such a savage check, dude. It's so savage.
And now Pedro goes from probably like worried to pretty much thinking got lucky here. And he does check though still. He's not willing to just go put it in. And now Christoph, though, when he goes, it could be big, right? This is one where, as played, he could really go for the jugular. And if you're Pedro and you get shoved on, or even a large bet, what are you doing? I mean, are you like, as played, you just these are really an intricate spot. I mean, this is high, very, very wild to see this hand played. As it's not often we see a 4-bet with Queen 10 suited with these stack sizes and positions. And then on top of that, the board interaction, hits top pair, draws miss, check turn, river is big, and I think Christoph's going to ask for a lot.
He's definitely going to bet. It's just a question of like, does he go half pot ish, or does he just go like full pot and just go for it all? That check on the turn was a very insidious, like there's no good intentions behind that turn check. Yeah, he's just going half pot.
Yeah. And that's gonna likely get a customer. I mean, I can't imagine, the shove you could tank, use 5 minutes, just who and ha. But here for half, you're still in. You still got $1 million. You're still ahead of a player. I mean, it does put him in a bad spot, though, right? You call and you're sort of in. There's only one shorter stack than you then. I mean,
yeah, but he put himself in this spot. Like, it's so crazy, right? Like, vogelsang is so good. I told you, like, I would feel the anxiety on this board texture of wanting to protect my hand, right? And like not wanting to see a jack, not wanting to see an 8, right? Because like, but vogelsang doesn't have that, right? He's just like one of the best tournament players in the world, like, period. So he understands ranges so much that it's fine. He's like, I want to play this hand to make the most money possible. Maybe he's using a random number generator for like some of these spots, but I would guess that in this spot, he doesn't even need it. Like, being able to check back this turn in such a high equity situation as a trap is, I can't even explain it. Like, it's so high level and savage. I don't see how Pedro can fold, because like, he can call with ace king here. He could call with ace king. The fact that he has a 10 is just like, I'm not saying
right. The fact that the heart, that he doesn't have a heart, it's like the check on the turn. Like a fold here would be insane in my opinion. Like this would be up for one of the hands of the GGMillion, like all around. Just so many different twists and turns, and really high level stuff. But I just think a fold would be so unreasonable to 4-bet your hand, hit this board, and then as played. I mean, he might be worried against like ace 10 suited or something, like somehow just like the worst hand. But the check back on the turn. Oh yeah, there it is. I mean, I can't imagine a fold. It just would be too wild.
Like, the only reason he got paid there is because he checked the turn. I mean, and the fact that he flatted pre and played every street perfectly. But like, allowing him to realize equity with his 4-bet range, like, is just. It also controls the pot size when he does have a hand like aces, even though by the time the river comes, he's not weighted towards aces very much. That out of position player. I don't know. That was just like such a savage spot for vogelsang. Like, I can't even express it. Like, he deserved every cent that he got in that spot. And it's so hard for Pedro to fold. And vogelsang's recognition of like the fact that Pedro can actually have some 4-bet bluffs there is why he ended up making the call in the first place, and like mixing some traps in there. And I just love it. Like, I just think that was a fantastic play.
Yeah, it's a cool hand. That is definitely a very, very cool hand. We are going to, again, play with winner, no deal making, as always. GGMillion, episode 55, season 2024. Mike Wasserman joins us. And tell me about your WSOP prep, and also what you would say you would kind of give advice to those coming to the World Series maybe for the first time?
Sure. Did this go? This went check call. Yeah. Yeah, it's just
That's
fold.
gonna end there.
So for my prep personally, I didn't go out at the beginning of the series because the way our Airbnb is, we needed to book the whole time. So we're gonna stay there, me and my girlfriend for the duration of the summer. I'm gonna find a cold plunge place. I'm gonna have a place to, I have a gym to work out in. I'm gonna be doing as many things that are good for myself as possible. So I avoid burnout and I stay healthy and in a good mindset. I'm also working with a mental game coach. I guess he'll be happy if I say his name. So I'm working with Dan Heskett. He's an understudy of Elliott Rowe. A little bit cheaper price, but still pretty hefty. But I find that mental game sessions they're a good way to get into therapy. So if anyone has ego problems about males going to therapy or something, like mental game sessions will give you a lens to kind of look at yourself through poker that kind of, gives you some insights into how you operate and maybe some mental game leaks that you have. So I'm actually just doing mental game coaching. I'm not doing any poker or mental game sessions. I'm not doing any studying. I'm not trying to improve my game right now. I'm just going to go out there and play and then study outside of the WSOP. And for advice for people, I would say play tournaments that you want to play, that you have a high vibration playing, you feel confident in, and don't overdo it. Don't play too many tournaments. Don't try too hard. Just try to play your best anytime you're in there. Kind of like what Negreanu is doing at this World Series and what he was doing like for this year is just like quality over quantity. Yeah, I would say that. And like, another thing, I think this is maybe the best advice I can give in like 2 sentences. So we have aces. So aces is, I would like to see a flat here actually, just because the SPR is so low, but yeah, shoving totally fine. He has no 3-bet folds, right? So he's kind of forced to shove here. Yeah, I would say for advice, summed up, to go deep in a tournament, what gets you deep in a tournament is fundamentals. What wins tournaments is deviating and going with reads and putting players in tough spots and being willing to go for it and go for the win. So that's all I'll say without going into too much detail about that.
Yeah, I like it. I would say there's been a sort of a shift in sort of my thing. It's funny that some guys, even like as Negreanu obviously has the vlogs, he's talked a lot about the summer preparation, sort of prepping in the sense of skipping events, knowing that if he wants to play certain events he really wants to play, like why play a 1500 RAS or some event that doesn't get you super excited, then you're going to miss one of the ones that, say it's a 5K PLO for someone or a 50 or a high volume, whatever it is, right? Like whatever your sort of buy-in target is, like if everyone sort of cycled and circled certain events for the summer. I mean, it's happened to me a lot where I look at, I'm like, oh, I really want to play a shootout, or I really want to play this high-low event or whatever. And then I end up like missing it, or not even missing it, but then you come in because you're running deep in another event that maybe isn't one of your special events, right? And then you cash it or you go deep, but now you're starting 6 hours late on an event that is like, you're really excited about playing it. And that is a big, that's something to be said. If you come in fresh the day off before and you are on time and it's an event you want to play, like there's a big difference between that. So I think that's easier said than done. I would equivocate it to the online when it's like there's always so much stuff going on a Sunday. It's like I can't tell you, I streamed on Twitch for 5 years and I would always look at my Sunday and I'd always be like, all right, today I'm going to play 6 tables max at one time, and 90% of the time I'd have 14 tables going like a crazy
story of my life, brother.
and it's just like, and then I'm like, why didn't I get like a lot of times I look how my day goes and I'm like, what happened? Like, how did I get crushed? And like, what? I can't remember what's going on. And it's ace king, ace queen, and I mean, not raising to fold, and this is a good spot for Pedro ace king versus ace queen. Really clean flop. Turn is the ace, so now queen only are going to be right
River
back
is going
to
to be a
how.
queen. No.
No, you're
I thought
trying
he's
to really
destroy.
end this dinner wager. But yeah, I mean, I think that's a super important thing, to think about. And that's just so many times, like I just online too, just if I could really look back, what was something I would say in the prime of my grinding tournament career, what would I do differently? I think it would be quality over quantity. And it's just like when there's a 215 big, or you're looking on GG in the lobby and you're like, there's how do you not play this $50, 80,000 at first? But when you have 15 tables to choose from, like I think it's important to really plan. All right, here's my core 6, or here's my core 4. I'll late reg a couple later, maybe, or at max I'll have 8, and that's if everything's going well. Because I think historically we can all agree when we've played online that oftentimes we do better when we have less tables, when you have 1 or 2 or 3 tables, or sort of your last tournament. Why is that when always you seem to play the best, go the deepest? It's because, hey, you're not missing small blind, big blind spots. You're not just auto folding in the small when you could limp raise or limp call or min raise the button and play over, and you decide to fold. So, I think this is kind of obvious, but it's just something that even when you know it, it's hard to do it. And that's something that, like Jason Somerville, right? Jay Carver on Twitch, he was the original, like he had it right. He played one table, he would play it, he would explain every hand, he caught the chat and was just dialed in, and like he was there. He knew what he was doing. He was there to run a show, he was there to inform people, he was there to do his best. He wasn't there to, he wasn't trying to make all the money playing online. He was just building and building his thing. And yeah, I don't know. That's tough, right? It's hard to do. And of course, you can't be perfect, but there is a way to at least be aware. If you're aware of it, then you can at least make a decision versus just being oblivious and just kind of going in blind. It does help when you're at least alert.
Yeah. I think that's fantastic advice. Just thinking about, like, I mean, to survive in the online poker world right now is you can't play as many tables as you used to. There's a couple of guys that can do it still and play 20 tables, but that list of people that can go 20 tables and actually be profitable, that list is getting smaller by the day, including me. Just because the game requires so much more attention, is played at a higher level, and there's a lot of information out there for people. So just the average player knows a little bit more than they used to. But, like any industry, you have to be up with the times. Like, you need to stay current. So this is an interesting spot. So he defends off of 16 bigs, and he has a double gutter here. Not the cleanest. Actually, I guess it's not a double gutter, right? Because the 8 makes a jack high straight. So even a naked jack is the same hand. But let's see how he decides to play it. I assume with this sizing, he's just going to check call. This is so cool. Like, vogelsang doesn't choose a bigger size. He doesn't decide to check back. I do wonder if vogelsang had a hand like 10-6 or something, would he bet or check on this flop? Would he choose the same sizing? Ace 10 is like kind of a value bet, but also he gets to keep control of the hand for this exact situation. This is such a horrible spot for Vlad, because vogelsang is opening so wide that, and Vlad would effectively have almost no aces in his range here, because he should be, or very few, having the risk premium at so low for him being the short stack, that he should be jamming over vogelsang's open with like any ace here, basically. And so vogelsang should be attacking this range. And so I'm going to guess that he goes with a big bet here. Yeah, he just goes pot. And this is just such a horrible spot for Vlad, because vogelsang should be bluffing here so often, and he just has it. It's just so unlucky. I'm surprised he folded so quickly. Like, and maybe he's just eye rolling and just like, I can't call here. Like, I'm just going to fold quickly. It's pretty unlucky for it to run out that way.
Yeah, that was not, especially short stacked. So such critical pots, as you can see, were 7-handed, and the payouts are in the lower left there. Is everyone guaranteed 75,000? Want to wish everyone a happy Tuesday. Hope you're enjoying. Let us know where you're watching from. I'm on my mobile setup. I am not don't have I'm going to pull up the YouTube chat as well, because let's get in there, please. I hope you guys hit the thumbs up. And I am going to, let's see if we got some familiar faces in here. There we go. We're going to get it rolling here, and appreciate you guys. Mike, are you, what event are you most excited for at the WSOP, say, besides the main?
My sweet spot, if you haven't looked it up, my sweet spot is these like 1K to 1500s. Obviously the monster stack is fantastic. I've made some runs in that. Any 1K, I just love it. I'm so comfortable. I will blast it off, but I will also make the folds I need to. Like, so I'm willing to do anything. Yeah, I mean, that's it. Even like the win tournaments, the 1100 multi-days, I love those. You can fire a couple bullets. It's not too bad if you have to rebuy. You get multiple shots. The fields can be tough as you get deeper, but it's nothing I haven't faced before. And yeah, I think feeling comfortable in what tournaments I feel comfortable in, but first place is still, or the final table is still enough money to where it's, maybe not life-changing, or maybe life-changing in some situations. If first place is like $1 million, it's a big deal. But if it's like a couple 100,000, it's like, it's exciting, but also not going to change much. So there's not a lot of pressure, and you can kind of just enjoy the experience. So yeah, I think anything between the 1K to 1500 level. I'm kind of staying away from the live PKOs, even though I think I have a big edge in them. Introducing like $1,600 multi-entry PKOs, like for variants, I'm not too excited about that. But I think people are going to be making massive mistakes in those things. So
yeah,
I wouldn't blame anyone for firing.
Yeah, that's that is I'd say that's definitely a sweet spot. There's a lot of value in that. Of course, those are great tournaments. Yeah, I think, and you said you are going right now, correct? You're gonna be out there.
Yeah, I'll be out there probably around Saturday.
Nice.
And then I'm gonna miss an online Sunday, but I'll be playing the monster stack. So I'll be at my happy place, summer camp, playing with all my long lost brothers. So it won't be too bad. So now let's look at that's. Go ahead.
It's like summer camp. It's like summer camp out there. It is fun. It's a special time. But yeah, continue your thought. What do we got here?
Yeah, so let's take a look at these stack sizes. So we have Dinsvovs. What am I gonna say? Din. Let's call him Din. Dins.
That's the word.
Let's call him Dins. Up to like almost 3.2, 3.1, 3.2. Vogelsang still chip leader by quite a bit, over 100 bigs. This is actually a decent spot for Liz to attack. So I could definitely see like a big 3-bet here. Yeah, this is very nice. Nice hand to do it with. And it's 40, effectively 40 big blinds. So I think at the shallower stack sizes, you might see Liz doing this with like King 4, King 6 offsuit. But I think as you get deeper, you start to see these hands become suited that become 3-bet bluffs. But yeah, we have a bunch of people with 40 bigs here. We have 3 stacks with 40 bigs. Klodnicki not far behind with 33 bigs. And then we basically have Vogelsang chip leading, Dins with over 60 bigs. And then we have the short stack, Vlad. So this is going to be interesting. I think Vogelsang is going to continue to open pretty wide. If Dins stays out of the way, I think Vogelsang is probably going to start accumulating a lot of chips here from here down. Because having Klodnicki and then 3 other stacks with the 40 big blinds, they're going to be a little bit hesitant to play big pots with him, although they are all professionals and they can find spots to chip up, just like Liz did with the 3-bet with the King 3 suited. I think as long as Vlad's in there with 10 bigs or so, or 11 bigs, I think we're going to see Vogelsang add to his chip stack. But let's see how it plays out. So this is interesting. Din's opened the cutoff. He c-bet the flop, right, Jeff, or no? Or did he check?
Yeah, it was. I just actually catch up on a couple notes here too from this. There's been some very interesting hands. The one in particular I was trying to get the exact timestamp was the that queen 10 suited 4-bet hand where vogelsang. I'd say that was the most interesting hand so far of the day.
Sure.
But I did miss the flop. I didn't see the exact action here, but 8-6 suited going for him. This is actually really, really cool spot and a big sizing there. No diamond for Disnov, gonna maybe make him interested. But King 9 definitely a bluff catcher. You're not loving it. You have kicker issues a lot of the time where you're behind him. That is gonna help the case.
Yeah, this is interesting. He set up the pot size so that he could shove if he wanted. He's not going to shove here though. But this gives.
He's got literally the worst hand. He unblocks diamonds as well. You're right. Maybe not shove, but 1.4. Yeah. He's literally got the worst hand he could have. He gets called. There are some hands like diamonds. This is also the most unexperienced player, at least results wise, here in the GG Millions. Has no earnings. I don't know, man. It's a big stage. There's huge money at stake. I think he is going to bluff. It just depends. You're right. I don't think he'll go all in. He is covered as well.
Yeah,
but,
it wasn't.
You don't have to go huge, right? You could bet if he misses diamonds, he's going to fold. You can go 370 or 480 or something, not crazy big that you're going to fold out, or maybe not even that big, right? You get some hands like diamonds to fold. I don't know.
I don't know how much small is going to accomplish on this board. He could, just because he feels compelled to follow through here, he could go small. But yeah, I thought he would bet a not all in sizing. And this is tough. I don't think that Dins is going to fold, but also what does he beat? he beats a hand like this. He beats Miss Diamonds. He's probably flicking it in because he has trip kings. But yeah, so I'm just guessing the flop went check call. Otherwise, Arsenij's just not in this hand. Because if he c-bet the flop, he wouldn't be in there with the 8-6 and the way the pot size was. So it went check call, check call, and now the river's a king. And the thing is about this spot is yeah, Arsenii doesn't have a ton of bluffs here. He's supposed to have you know what's sick? He could actually fold here because Arsenii actually shouldn't have missed diamonds here because he checks back the turn. Most likely with front door diamonds. So he shouldn't actually have missed diamonds here. And this is one of the few bluffs that he can actually have. This is actually pretty sick. I actually, now thinking about it, think Dins could actually fold here, but of course, nobody would blame him for just flicking it in here and saying, all right, buddy, just show me a better hand.
Just an absolutely special hand, and I think you're going to see some of that clock burn. They do say, I like to remind, think long, think wrong, but this is a spot you don't love, even though it seems obvious to call. Your point is, it's not. There's a lot of hands you're losing the value. It's for value-wise, you're losing everything, and he does fold. Wow. Just the power there of that follow through is special. Just gets trip kings to fold. Really wild.
Unbelievable.
Yeah. Pretty high level. Arsenii showing the class. They're a very experienced player and gets again, not criticizing the game or saying that doesn't a good player, just not a lot of results, at least in the GG Million. Not familiar with this player and does get bluffed there. Still in 2.1 million and still okay. Just that was a big moment there and a massive bluff, massive fall through.
Yeah. Well, that's an interesting spot. I guess think long, think wrong.
He didn't take that long. He burn a little clock, but yeah, that was your point though. It's a great point. You're losing to all the value. Even a wheel, it's ace-3 suited. You're losing to sets. You're losing to better king X. That obviously unlikely, but that happens. It's interesting.
Yeah, just spot. Not a lot of bluffs. This is actually interesting for Chris. I don't know. In chip EV, Chris could just rip this in here and not have to think about it much. Final tables is a bit different. Also, worth noting that Liz opened the button into vogelsang with Jack 7 suited. Pretty notable, in my opinion. Shows like awareness of how powerful it is to be in position, and also like willingness to kind of go for it. So he does call though. So now this will be interesting again. If Klodnicki, I think his hand is strong enough to just call. And he's not thrilled to be stacking off with it. But on the other side, Liz has the widest range here and could be stabbing very wide, and it could be a very profitable check raise here. Yeah. So he decides to just check raise. It is interesting because the SPR is slightly over 1. So if Liz does find a call here, which I don't think they will. Okay, so he does PR.
Wow. Wow.
This is a crazy turn card. Yeah, the size, the check raise sizing is very interesting to me. So now Chris is thinking, like, if he is running into a jack and Liz's flatting range is pretty Jack X heavy, like, first of all, flatting and calling the check raise. And then Chris having clubs means like Liz doesn't at a very high frequency, especially the Jack of clubs being out there. So there's only like nut flush draws and like 9-10 suited as a flush draw. So I think Chris feels, so, all right, to synthesize these thoughts, he chose a small sizing here, and I think he has to follow through. I think he has to follow through. I don't think he check gives up. I think he just YOLOs it in here. And there's not, as much as it feels like there's a lot on the line here, he's already one of the shortest stacks if he checks. If he checks, he just doesn't win. I'm really surprised. Really surprised. Because when he shoves this river, he could actually get a jack to fold. At least like the worst jacks. It's so interesting that he chose to like preserve his tournament life there. So that tells you a lot about how Chris approaches these spots and these final tables. Is like, he's not just like barreling it off, and because has one of the worst hands, he doesn't feel like he needs to just like rip it in. But I don't know, man. I don't know. I guess having clubs is bad because you want your opponent to have clubs. But like, he blocks king jack, queen jack. These are the hands that will call him. The only hand he's like, I think, worried about getting called by is ace jack, maybe jack 10. Like, I guess he's just beat by too many hands. Did you think he was going to bluff the river?
I kind of didn't for some reason, just because also, I mean, I like your point. I, mean, I thought it was close. I thought it was definitely close, but I just thought because he has the missed clubs, you know, as it turned out, the 6 is there. He didn't have the, I thought you're right. I don't think a jack would call, but necessarily all in. I just with him missing clubs and how it went in his particular stack with where he's at, he's got a good seat with vogelsang as well, who's going to open wide. And I don't know. I just thought that. I think there's point. Like I think he also Vlad and D1 are not as experienced. Like, I just think that he still has plenty of chips. I think having the missed clubs there on that draw when you get called for that check raise size and the action when he calls again, I just think that it just seems like I don't envy that spot. I just feel like there's better bluff candidates.
Yeah, that's actually a really good point. He is directly in position on vogelsang, who's the chip leader. And that's like one of the most advantageous spots you can have at final tables, because chip leader is incentivized to put pressure on people and open wide. And if you have a re-steal stack or a hand that can VPIP wide, that's directly in position on the chip leader, then you're going to have a lot of spots that are very profitable to re-steal or to trap. So yeah, I wasn't thinking of that in game, but just like based in chip EV, I thought like he kind of has to follow through there. But yeah, like this is a perfect example. Like, now he gets to just rip or 3-bet, whatever it may be. And he just gets to chip up here and pick up 200K in chips. So now he's back.
Yeah, I mean, this is one of those spots with the bias It's like obviously seeing the whole cards and whatever. And so I do think it's very close. I just think like again, when you're the one who has the check raise, you have the missed flush draw. Your opponent calls a big check raise, calls the turn bet. You have the missed clubs. Like you're kind of that. I guess that's the question he's probably asking: is he folding a jack, which is like a likely holding there, right? Like what
Yeah.
is he not? Maybe also thinks that that's also like Liz's. That they have some history and just thinks that it's not a great spot to bluff it off there. And still has enough chips. And as we see, still plenty of chips. A million. And again, Chris, we just said it. Chris is going to be opening vogelsang. Christoph's going to open light, and we got a spot right away where he chipped up with that scenario.
If anyone wants to run that spot, the king queen spot with Klodnicki, and like post it on Twitter, tag me in it, because in HRC or even if you can find a sim that's close to it in GTO Wizard, I'd be curious to take a look at it, because maybe he is following through with like his worst club draws, but then when he has king queen of clubs, he just unblocks, or he blocks the hands that he wants his opponent to have. So he just like doesn't follow through. But yeah, I mean, we saw like literally 2 hands later, he gets to pick it up with the ace 10 suited against the ace 6 open. So that is something that that needs to be taken into account, is like, if I'm going to bluff it off here, what am I what opportunities am I passing up? And do I believe that I will have better spots to chip up than just YOLOing it in, It's kind of weird because he chose such a small sizing on the turn that he wouldn't just follow through. And it's sick. If he actually shoved the turn, he might have still got called by sixes. I don't know. Because he's open-ended with the sixes.
Yeah. I don't know if sixes would have folded. It's almost better to call sixes than the jack. All right. So he blocks 6-7. What do you have check rate? What was that? Was that an open-ended coming through, or no? Maybe not. With sixes, he had. Yeah, I'm not sure, but
he was open-ended on the turn.
Right. I'm just saying the fact that would like his likely check raise bluffs are what are the hands, and he's blocking is 6. It was 3 4 5 turn. No, I'm sorry, 4 5 turn 3. Is that what happened, or 3 4 turn 5?
Yeah, one of those.
Okay.
Something like that. Yeah. Because the river was an 8, suited. And it didn't complete the straight, so the 7 was not out there.
Yeah, it would have been curious. We'll not know. We just won't know. But I don't think I don't know. I don't think he was full in. It's hard though, right, to follow through and then call there. Maybe, I don't know. What do you think? Do you think Liz calls if he shoves?
No. I think on the river, if he shoves, Liz is blocking the straight, but also I think one of the first questions you ask is, am I blocking his bluffs? That's like the first question you ask yourself in those spots. And I think he or she, Liz, is blocking some of the 6x bluffs with a club, or like bottom pair with the 6. I think he would just have folded. The question is, would he have called with a jack? That's really what it comes down to. And I think he calls with ace jack and then like probably folds everything else. But I could definitely be wrong. Been wrong many times. Also been right many times.
The bias with the
cards up.
Yeah, it's tough. It is always a little bit tough, but yeah.
Yeah, it's boring to say he should do this when you can see the cards, right? So I'd rather take the chance of being wrong and guess, just to make it more interesting, because like, what's the point of like seeing the cards and go, he should do this? It's like, yeah, think about what you would do in that spot. That way, at least you get something from the situation. So that's kind of how I view this. And that's how I think everybody should view these final tables. Like, think about what you would do in this spot. Don't just look at it as like, I mean, if you want to get better, that's how you do it. If you want to watch for entertainment, then just see what they do with these hands. But if you want to get better, put yourself and critically think about the spot and think about what you would do. Get some to fold a better hand there. Right. That was an interesting hand for Liz there. Vlad's getting pretty short here. just hanging out, hoping somebody does something stupid so he can ladder. This is an okay spot for Liz to open. Just because vogelsang's in the small blind. And like the least likely to play back from that spot, I would say. This is just going to be a shove by Chris. He's probably going to call. I don't really see how he can fold sevens here, because Chris can be jamming. He's jamming deuces plus, a bunch of ace fives, like suited aces and stuff. Like, yeah, sevens just can't fold.
Does call 2.1 in the middle. Big moment jack flops. That does take into the lead on the river. Heart becomes relevant for Pedro now. 3-1 dog needs to see something red and does not, and that is going to leave Chris Klodnicki in there. And Pedro Neves, who was the chip leader now with 7 left, is your second shortest stack. It does show you it's not easy. Not easy to close, and now he's in a bit of trouble. I mean, honestly, chips kind of vogelsang started running away, and then it sort of tightened up, and pretty healthy stacks right now. So several, I mean, 2 million plus vogelsang, 4.2 in the lead. Lisflower healthy, D1 and ZVOZ also over 2 million, and then Arsenii, who made that epic bluff 6-8 suited, put the king 9 trips into the bin on a fold. That was a crazy hand.
Yeah, and we'll see if he can navigate his way to still get shorthanded after making that big fold incorrectly, but maybe correctly against his range. But in the moment, he was definitely off. But doesn't mean that he's out. He still has almost 40 big blinds, so definitely something to keep in mind. How many chips you have left and what you can do with them. This is interesting. Yeah, yeah, I mean, if Arsenii blasts here, I mean, most likely he's going to get another street, because he can still have some straight draws, some flush draws. I mean, I don't know, maybe vogelsang's capable of folding the turn, but by the river, even if the river was a brick, he's not going to get another street, I don't think. It's not very natural for front door flush draws to be triple barreling in this spot. Unless they're, unless it's like 6-7 of hearts or something. But even still, it's probably just going to go bet fold.
Yeah, ace jack, very strong hand in this board. Doesn't lose too much. Is going to bet ace 9. No, the hearts, again, start looking about Arsenii, definitely capable. I'm going to put that on the notepad, maybe see the replay, a lot of history, and realize what is capable. And now, not a trivial spot, and the sizing is what's that? So yeah, nice fold. I mean, vogelsang, this guy's he's a tough customer. He's just not giving anything away. Seems to make the right step in every single spot. That is definitely class. And tell me about the Rocco interview. What is this about, Mike?
Oh, did you see it or no?
A bit. I did. I'm aware. I just wanted you to tee it up for us.
Yeah, so Mike played I think it was the 25K 6 max, which is literally like, I can't think of a tougher WSOP tournament to be in. Maybe not even the heads up, like 25K 6 max is just all savages. Yeah. So I don't know if he was the chip leader at the final table, but he ended up getting third for like 650K or something, which is a nice payday, of course. Mm-hmm. But anytime you get that close, you want to close out the tournament. And Jeff Platt interviewed him, and he just gave like he was definitely tilted and disappointed. And he just was like, I played horrible and I don't close. I get in all these big spots and I don't close. And I feel like everything out of his mouth is like the narrative that a lot of poker players deal with in their own head, of like negative self-talk. And you could see that somebody that competes at such a high level, like Mike has gotten so good over the last like 5 years. He studies so much. I talked to him recently where he told me that he spent 3 months straight studying 5 hours a day, like not even playing, just studying 5 hours a day, no playing. Like, he's so sick. Like, I don't even know how much I would get from that, because at a certain point, like you don't even take, I can't even take the information in, like it's just overload for me. So I need like to more, for me, like more consistent study of like little spots is more helpful for me.
Yo, look, can we just, is this, I mean, is this everyone's new favorite player, Arsenii with the 9-7 off? Maybe the year he
Yeah,
was
yeah.
born. How old are kids nowadays playing? Let's see, 97. I make them, yeah, it's possible. Just go ahead and pops it on up. Ace deuce suited, just after seeing the bluff. I mean, maybe you've seen it by now either way. Arsenii, that is, I mean, what's going on there? Mike, take away blockers or this or that. That's just pure spot, pure going for it. I mean, just absolute attack.
So it's very simple in that spot, actually. Looking at it now. So Pedro has about 900K and Vlad has 240K. So Vlad only has 4 blinds. So he knows that Dims is capable of opening the button with a fair amount of hands. He has some sort of read about that. And it's a really easy spot for Vlad, or for Dims, to be overfolding. So he attacked. And it's a hard spot to exploit for Liz, because Liz needs to cold 4-bet in a spot that's just like super unnecessary to take. So it's literally just leveraging stack sizes. That's all that was. So his hand is irrelevant because like they're just not going to a flop very often. Does that make sense?
Yeah, yeah, it does. And this is flat by queens. Why do you think against Arsenii? Is it because they're so deep? Is this a bit, you get the deception, but also you're one of 3 players with huge stacks and you don't want a big tango? What is the rationale to flat queens in this spot versus a player who you know is actually super aggressive?
So the flat serves a lot of purposes, I think, with the queens here. One is you can pick off Pedro if Pedro decides to jam. Perfect stack size for it. And then also vogelsang can squeeze and you can back shove with the queens and you'll get a ton of value there. I think you would find in spots where vogelsang defends in this spot from the big blind, that Liz would be trying not to play a big pot.
Yeah, all those, I agree with all that. It's interesting now as played with this small size on the river, and you're
just a
kind of,
call.
you would think so. I think Liz is going to be a little frustrated that the pot didn't get bigger, and as the action panned out, I could see there's a world where raising. I mean, I don't. Does he just, you get to give him a flush or a 10? I think he's going to raise. Like I don't think you really think about the flush, and that's kind of like, does he have a 10 or not? I mean, of course, we see he does have the flush, and he could, but I just think as played, the pot's so small, that bet's so small into 400 as well.
Yeah, maybe there is a bit of frustration. That's a good call. But also, like, I mean, in chip EV, I don't mind seeing this a lot. Like, I wouldn't mind going thin for value here. I've definitely taken this line before and would feel compelled to squeeze a little more value out. But here's
Yeah,
kind of dangerous.
I just think it's also the more so the river bet size. It's 120 into 400. There's been no aggressive action in the pot. I think that
Yeah.
I think this is, and honestly, also that shows you a bit of what he thinks about Arsenii, who's just a bit, oh, I mean, honestly, now he's got a mess. Yeah, he doesn't think long about it. That was enough.
That was the play though. Like he knew,
Yeah.
he kind of knew that. Like, but the thing is like Liz looks super capped there. So I think when Arsenii goes that sizing, he's looking to get thin value, because Liz looks like they don't have a hand, right? Like a pretty weak range that check back every street, flatted pre and check back. So they have a little bit of showdown value, or maybe they have the bottom of their range. So that's it. They have showdown value. They have no value hands. So when Arsenii goes small, he's targeting, like he wants value, right? So, but Liz felt like he was so high up in his range that he had to raise for value. But if he gets re-raised, like it's just snap fold, because it just shows that Arsenii is like close to the top of his range, or has the top. Also, it's a spot where like if you 3-bet queens and you get 4-bet and have to put the money in, like you're not actually thrilled about it. Like 5-bet shoving queens when you have a guy that has 2 bigs and another guy that has like, 13 bigs. Like you don't want, like I've been at final tables where I get it in with the queens there and I'm like, I run into kings, or you just run into ace-5 suited somehow and like you just have to run it and you're not thrilled. You just don't want them to realize their equity. So I could understand. This is interesting. Who will which eights will win this hand? Well, I guess the queen 10 is probably going to win this hand.
You know, it's
Or
interesting
maybe?
about that ace four, the queen's hand too, flatting. I mean, again, not that like I'm not saying Lisflower wouldn't love to get the all in with against ace X suited, ace four wheel suited, but I think it does really accomplish multiple things. You do get to also pot control, you do get the deception. I like that. It's true. Pedro might shove, Christoph may squeeze, and then in the world where you do end up just like getting this weird situation where Arsenii just rips it in on a suited ace, and you're not like you're a good favorite, but you're not like crushing favorite. I do think there is some merit to that.
Yeah, I mean, it's just standard final table ICM awareness. Just am I thrilled to get it in? No. Okay. I'll play it as like a trap. And there's good things that can happen from that too, right? Like someone can back shove. You can just like have a completely disguised hand if you make a big hand. Also, your perceived flatting range is way wider. So like you just have so much value in deception. That's why there was a river raise there. Like you said, the pot was so small. He was like, I got to get like squeeze more out of this. But turns out he's just throwing away chips. Props to Arsenii for checking the turn because he understood how his range is like. He understands what his hand looks like and what his range does in that spot. And his range with the nut flush is just like mostly checking. This is a nice limp. This is actually good awareness by Dins, to recognize that he's going to get like punished pretty frequently in this spot. And this is an interesting spot for Arsenii here. Like, I don't know if I love him even ISOing this hand. Like, I would like it as a check back. It's like it plays really well in position, and you don't. Yeah, this is.
Wow.
He's kind of
Yeah,
forced to do this. Yeah.
he's really attacked this just relentlessly. 664, very clean flop. Turn non-heart now needs help. Has to hit that river card, a six or a king, actually, right? The six would be good. The six would be king high. That was why there was 10%, not the about 6.7 in jacks. I mean, he's been patient. He's made some big folds. He's kind of sat back. There it is, 3.8 million now in contention for the chip lead with vogelsang, and the unknown from Croatia is poised for a big result. We're still seven-handed here.
So Dims folded the trips, and now he found a spot where he got the money in with jacks against the king nine suited. So I think it's important. I guess we can see how this hand plays out. And it's probably he might. I don't know. I could see both options here: checking back or betting. Obviously, in hindsight, this was a nice check.
King six, not looking to go anywhere. Does have a winner currently. Still has to fade a fair amount of cards on the river. Not a crazy amount, but there is some. What, a seven, an ace, a 10.
What would be sick here is if Liz folded. There would be like a very high level fold.
Does call jack of diamonds.
It's just check here, I imagine. So let's think about the king nine hand, where Dims limped the jacks, being very mindful of like the dynamic between him and Arsenii and Arsenii's tendencies. So that was very like player and context dependent. He limps king nine ISOs, which is the reason he over ISOs in this spot. So I after looking at the stack sizes, Neves is still at 800K, which is like 12 and a half, 13 bigs.
Wow, he's turning it into a bluff here with the diamond. And I guess queen 10, right? Could have queen 10. I mean, this seems like a pretty good candidate to bluff, blocking two pairs and whatnot. I don't know. I mean, this is asking a lot, but man, this is Vlad's actually got to be a little worried with this action, although he is going to have a winner no matter what. They can't get him out of the pot. And this is all of a sudden a decent sized pot.
This is really interesting because you just don't expect people to flip over a bluff here. And like, dude, this is such a good bluff. I think it's a good bluff, honestly.
And it's a pretty high level call. He's got a 9 of diamonds,
Yeah.
but I mean, man, that's no one goes home. Is now you're chipping your 4.8, and Lisflower. I like the bet, love the call. I mean, this has been some special stuff today. I just always say it's some interesting things
For sure. Yeah.
but this has definitely been a high level final table. A lot of hands to pick at here.
So, yeah, and Dim's having the 9 of diamonds was actually bad for his hand there. He blocks flushes, but he also blocks bluffs that Liz would have. But I think one of the things that's notable in that last spot was that Dim's only raised like 2 point. If I remember correctly, he didn't raise very much. And considering the extra money that was in the pot from the all in, there was an extra big blind in the pot. So like he probably should have upped his sizing to like 3.5x or 4x or something and just run it with the all in and get and have more pot share, like deny equity to the big blind and the small blind. But he just chose to go with the min raise, which against weaker players might work more frequently, but against like stronger competition, I think you need to deny equity a little bit more in those spots. But worked out very well for him in this particular situation, but he was in a tough spot there. That was a pretty sick bluff. Unnecessary bluff for the king 10. Because it's just going to go check, and he gets to show his hand down, and he hasn't put much in there. So, like, I don't know. But there's a reason he's at this 10K FT.
Yeah, vogelsang just constantly impresses me. I mean, this aggression by Arsenii is, again, he's just relentless. I mean, 6-5 just hanging on there. Hanging on.
This could go either way,
Wow.
Yeah, you would think if he bluffs the turn that he might actually follow through with the river bluff, but I mean, and this speaks to Klodnicki not following through with that shove with the king queen suited earlier in the final table, and now he's found a way to like chip up against vogelsang's open, and he's gotten to show down a couple of times and has ended up thankfully not had to face those like river shoves or all ins, and here he is. Okay, so Vlad's going to re-raise here. So something to think about in these spots for dims is when you open, what size do you open to? Because Vlad's shove, if he does shove from the big blind, is either going to reopen the action or not. And so if you have a hand that wants to go multi-way, just in case somebody flatted behind you, you want to size accordingly, In this spot, he kind of wants to ISO. This is... I'm surprised Arsenii didn't just like click it and fold with all of the recent action.
To queen 10. It is a queen on the flop. Wow, this is Vlad's ride may come to an end here.
GG, Vlad. Nice try, buddy. Hung in there for a while. So we have Pedro as the short stack here with like 15 bigs. Blinds are going to go up pretty soon. We have effectively Liz, Arsenii, and Chris kind of have the same stack sizes. About 40 big blinds. I think 70K big blind is next, so they'll all have about 30 big blinds. And Pedro will have just about 12, 13 bigs. Sometimes have you ever found that like having 14 to like 20 bigs at final tables is kind of nice sometimes because the spots are very binary for you and you just kind of hang out and wait for like good restill spots or like good hands. And then in the meantime, if you're playing with people that are active enough, you just find ladders that maybe that you wouldn't if you had more or less chips. I
I'd
kind of
say,
like
I
it
mean,
sometimes.
yeah, I mean, of course, it's fun to play the big stack, but yeah, it's less pressure than it's less pressure. That's for sure. 5-9 going to make two pair, ace eight. A player that is, I mean, this guy Arsenij's got a lot of heart. I gotta say, Arsenij's really, he's really gone for it in so many different spots. It's impressive when you're that relentless, right? It's sometimes you see players that make one or two aggressive moves, they get it through, and it's like, all right, now I'll use it, wait for a hand, but like he's really just continued to go wild. And the 9-5 off here, I mean, on this board, very draw heavy, does go big, takes it down.
Dim's chip leading by quite a bit at this point. Pretty sick. Pretty sick to see. All right, so Pedro at the king 10. This is actually an interesting spot. Wow, vogelsang just mucks the sevens, dude. Doesn't even think about it. That's so interesting to me. I wonder, like, does he muck eights? Does he muck nines? You know, in the spot? I can understand sevens and like lower, right? It's just like Pedro's perceived range here. Like you can't 3-bet fold to him. You have to 3-bet call. And then what does he get it in against if he 3-bet calls with sevens? A very strong range. Wow. Arsenii punishes the open. The 14 big blind open under the gun with the ace 4. Dude, this guy he is a killer. He is a killer.
I mean, you know, it's like Phil Locker doing some of these advertising on streams or whatever. I mean, maybe he's just, you know, that's the play, right? You just go crazy in these televised or whole card up games, and then you get to tighten it up in the other spots because he looks like an absolute savage.
He is going for it. And I didn't even finish like discussing the dynamic in that Jacks versus King 9 hand. But you really have to remember that Vlad had less than a big blind or like 2 big blinds or something when it went limp, when Dims limped the small blind. So like Arsenii raised the King 9 suited and his thinking was, I'm raising any 2 cards here, and he knows that. So if he should have limp re-raise folds. So he kind of felt compelled to like go with the King 9 suited because he felt like Dims would be limp raising and then folding with a decent amount of hands. And maybe he's right, maybe he's wrong, I don't know, but he just ran into it there. And he still had equity. And the hands that call him are usually ace X heavy or pairs, and King 9 suited is doing okay against those hands unless it's ace king.
Yeah, look at this case, king and nines. I mean, Arsenij's not sure what to do. This is a lot of hand for him. He's been in there with the 6-8 suited. He's ripping in king 9 of hearts. Finally gets nines. We're 6-handed. He's got Christoph putting pressure as aware. I mean,
I don't think he's folding. Yeah.
No, rips it in. And Christoph probably realizing he'll flip a lot, although he is a player. He could be dominating. And there we go. Nines, ace, king. And it could be just as Arsenii draw it up. Can he take a river has to fade? That's 6 outs. 86.36% of the time he is going to be in good shape. It's paint. It is. Is that a it's a lady. I think the queen of spades. And hello, Arsenii back into the lead, almost the lead. D1 Nav, sorry, with 5.4. Second place, healthy. We are still 6-handed. Chips are fine. Pedro Neves, who was the chip leader, is your 6th place current stack, and he is going to have ace king, and I don't think king 10 off for Arsenii. He's going to be folding, although it's going to go shoving. Christoph could have got a little bit saucy and wanting to be involved, but now it's going to just go, I guess, what, ace king off, short, yeah, shove, and gonna probably, I guess, yeah, just take it down, right? I mean, not going to call off king jack suited, king 10 off open, not interested, and yeah, that is it's one of those days. No one wants to go home.
Yeah, I mean, you can see very clearly, like, I'll just tell you, if you're capable in these spots of playing like Arsenii is, you're going to make a lot of money in poker. Obviously, there's a lot of thought behind it. He's an experienced player. But like his willingness to go for it with the king 9, you're always going to be walking that line between like just totally out of line and then the right amount of aggression that needs to be applied, you know, as blinds go up. Like his willingness to go for it with the ace 4 off was huge.
Yeah.
Like he recognized that Pedro would have a decent amount of raise folds in that spot, you know, raising under the gun off of like 14 bigs or 13 bigs. So just like props to him. It's a good hand to do it with too.
Yeah, so A7 off. I mean, does have a 7, 3, 4, 6, 7, 5 would have been the nuts. 6 pairs the board now, and a good time maybe to start pressuring if you have A7. But then again, you do beat some broadways, so this is kind of that mixed of, do you want to have to push and put pressure? But ultimately, I think that it does make sense to bet, right? You do put hands like ace jack, ace queen, ace king in a tough spot. And yes, he's going to have king high sometimes, but then they check back, realize equity, and ultimately does just put the pressure on and gets a better hand to fold. Nice bet size there too.
Yeah, very swingy for these chip leaders. You know, Pedro came in first, vogelsang second, and they're on the low end of the totem pole now. I mean, it's pretty interesting to see such a big swing. And with all the experience that Chris has, look at him, still in there with 2.3 million, just hanging out, taking good spots. I mean, you know, you played with him back in the day, right? Sloppy Claude,
Oh yeah.
like he's just like a legend, a legend.
Yeah, he's got over 10 million live earnings. I remember a deep run he had where it was Bill Perkins, Tony Gregg himself, maybe it was Antonio, Final Four, the 100K, one drop, I think, and a big score there. Maybe got second or made a deal. I can't remember, but big score. And he's played some of the highest stakes in the world.
Yeah, I know on GG, on his name, on his Chris Klodnicki name, he has like 10 million. And then he's got to have like at least 8, 9, 10 million on other sites. They're not on his they're not on his pocket fives anymore, but and then he has 10 million live. Like you're looking at a guy that has like over 30 million in cashes between live and online. Chris is not a stranger to like these spots. He's going to make good decisions in basically every spot. So the Queen Jack opens. Pedro 3-bets small against a great player to do it against, even though like he's supposed to be nutted here. Let's see how Arsenii approaches the spot. He's such a savage. He reminds me of Cal the way that he plays. Like he just doesn't want to fold anything. Like he's very stubborn. He's not a guy that you really want to bluff. I think we're going to see an open here from Chris, although, yeah, way the stacks are, seems reasonable. No shot that Arsenie's folding a suited ace at this point. He has cards that are the same color. What do you do in this spot, Jeff? When you're Chris?
Yeah, I mean, it's tough when he knows that he knows he's aggressive. I think you could almost use it to your advantage, right? To like almost like, oh, I'm so crazy, he knows I'm crazy, how can you try to like bluff into me? So I do like betting. I do like betting, but it's not comfortable. And again, with a no equity turn, I think you might have to just shut it down.
Would you go quarter pot like that?
Yeah, I mean,
or a little bit more.
Maybe I think something like that's good. I think again, if he has some hand with no back doors, just like a king jack, to some type of hand that he's just not that interested in with, he might go or come with a plan for a double barrel. And there he is. He is showing a double barrel, no equity bluff, and that is interesting. He just goes for it. Chris just kind of a man with a plan. We'll say that.
So one of the benefits. Okay, well, let me start in that hand by saying this will be interesting too if he chooses to flat or 3-bet this with the ace jack. For Chris, when he goes small out of position there, he knows he's going to get floated. This is not the guy that just folds getting 5-1, right? So what he's doing is keeping his range wide so that his double barrel can work at a higher frequency. So I think he was planning on barreling a bunch of turns there. And obviously like a brick 4, he double barreled in a very not intuitive spot. This is rough. It went check on the flop. I mean, this has got to be a decent sized pot. from here on. But I don't know. Maybe it goes check, check again. There's no real reason to raise here. But I think that was really well played by Chris because he knows that his C bet's not going to work that often. So he's going to have to follow it up with some double barrels. And he did, and it worked out. But out of position against someone like Arsenii is rough. It's rough. Because your C bets don't work that often. You start having to turn hands like that into bluffs if you are going to C bet. And it's just not comfortable, especially at final tables. But he's messing with the GOAT. Arsenii's messing with the GOAT. But Arsenii is the GOAT. So,
I mean, he's bailing him out here with the sizing a little bit. I guess at the same time, you're trying to get ace high to call, or there's not a lot of hands that can call you. But I mean, if he does have a jack, I mean, honestly, maybe he's going to raise this, right?
he definitely could
sort of
raise fold. Yeah.
sort of the same line as like the vogelsang's time, where he bets in a spot where he induces, and there he goes. He's gonna get it. So maybe that actually was executed perfectly. I mean, just call. I guess you lose the quad jacks. Don't get called if you re-raise. So maybe makes sense. But
at least he didn't tank. He's just like, all right, I'll just call here and watch him flip over 9-10 sometimes. It's so interesting in that spot. Like, Arsenii can go smaller, but apparently he's balanced enough to go that sizing. Like, I guess he would do that sometimes with just like a pure ace or, a missed straight draw or something, and is trying to actually get some hands to fold that beat him. It's pretty big sizing though. Vogelsang opens the a7 here and gets the defend from dims. I wonder if there's any like equity denial here with a bet, or does he just go to a turn with him here? Yeah. Reasonable check back for Vogelsang. Depending on the sizing here, he probably will call one, but maybe the dangler to the 8 makes it not good enough. Maybe like he checks back ace-9 and calls with ace-9 on the turn here and folds a7. Yeah. Not surprised. He's just low visibility on future streets. It's just gonna be really hard river decisions for him. Yeah, this is just yeah. Pedro will just shove here or 3-bet call.
yeah, this is I mean, this is, to be fair, this has gone. It's not as rare. It's 6-handed. This often, I mean, this is this late. This is kind of like no one's super short right now either. And I guess D1 is sort of extended his lead, but everyone's sort of. I mean, honestly, everyone's pretty even.
Yeah, I mean, how long has it been? How long is the stream so far? I don't even know.
Hour 45.
Okay. Yeah, so the first couple of people busted, and that was kind of a bottleneck in the tournament. I was gonna say it earlier, but like there was a couple of short stacks, and like the average stack increased after a couple of people busted. So I kind of anticipated that it would be slow for a couple of people, but because it's taken so long, again, this is going to be another bottleneck where a couple of people bust quickly and then they end up, deep stack short, 3-handed or heads up.
I'm using the restroom quickly, Mike, if you don't mind carrying us here.
Sure.
Give me a second, guys. And again, appreciate everyone being here. Giveaways are live. Good luck. The end of the stream, we'll do a keyword with the $50 or $100 giveaway. And that my pinned Twitter, I believe, actually was supposed to be put up. It looks like there was an error on that, but I will put that later. So if you do see that, still give it away, even though it'll be after the show. I'll be right back. And Mike, let's see, when I come back, I'm feeling 1 or 2 busts. I think there's going to be some action. Give me a minute here.
Sure. Yeah, I think Pedro probably turns his hand into a bluff here again, and because he has the gut shot, or maybe his king high is good, so he checks back. He thinks his king high is good enough. Dim's flag is Croatia, I believe. I know someone said that in chat. Well, I guess at this point, you know, blind versus blind ranges are pretty wide. So I don't blame Liz for not bluffing here. And it would be kind of odd for Pedro to go for value with the king. A little bit too thin. He's just happy to take down the 700K right there. Man, vogelsang, it looked like he was going to be closing things out, but, you know, the table dynamics really shifted. And Dims has, I mean, a massive chip lead. Arsenii just goes with the flat, which is unbelievable that he only flats this hand. And this is going to be very painful from here on out because Dims should have a wide opening range here, at least his perceived range. And so when Arsenii kind of pot controls slash traps slash, I don't know, with this hand, flatting it pre-flop, once he gets this board, it's just lights out. Like if Dims decides to check raise here, us seeing the cards, we know that the money's just going to go in. Yeah, this is just a cooler spot for Arsenii. But I mean, he could have just gone broke pre-flop with this hand very easily in this spot. So there we go. 90% to win here. Wow, there's actually chop outs now. Oh my goodness. He finds the chop. So lucky. So lucky. Got it in so dead. Oh my God. So Dim's going to open again here, and let's see if Arsenii can find like a quick fold or if he's just going to VPip again. Okay. He was like, okay, I just survived. I'm not putting any money in with ace jack in this spot. I just need to take a breather for one hand, just for one hand. Klodnicki defends with the 4-5 suited here. So I think he could actually find a lead here on this board. He has flopped straights. He has flopped. He has the nut advantage here. And then he can deny some equity against overcards. Generally, people aren't going to be raising enough in this spot as the original raiser to deter him from just leading out. And it's pretty easy for him to play on future streets. So I kind of like the lead from Chris here. And he will definitely have the bluffs that he needs to have. So he turns open-ended straight flush draw. If he bets again, it's just the end of the hand. But he kind of doesn't want the opener to check back on this board. So he decides to just go ahead and lead and deny equity and also get value for his hand. So he goes again with 208 while he's disconnected, which is about a third pot. Dims can go either way here. This is actually a really nice sizing because I think it's making it very close for overcards. The guy, he kind of doesn't want to fold ace queen, but kind of it's not a great situation either way. And obviously Chris's hand having an open-ended straight flush draw with a pair is an incredibly strong hand. All right, so Liz opens the ace-5 suited. We have Dims in the big here with king-9. Pretty normal defend. I think you could actually maybe see some 3-bet folding, maybe not quite at these stack sizes. But he does defend. And this is another spot where like Dims could lead, right? Just like Chris did. He has flopped straights. He has flopped sets, some sets maybe. I don't know if he would shove 3s or 4s pre-flop or 7s. Unfortunately for him, Liz actually has a straight draw, so might get a little sticky here. But the way the stacks line up, a double barrel might be pretty effective. So let's see what Dims decides to do here. He just gives up. Now, if Liz checks back, I think Dims is given another opportunity to bluff. But it's a lot harder to bluff the river, but we'll see what happens. Really depends on what Liz does here. turns the straight. I think Dims is going to bluff this card. I mean, he should be at a decent frequency. Unless he was just leading this flop to turn a club and barrel it. I think he should be bluffing a decent amount here. And Liz has a pretty easy re-raise. So the question here is just, is it a small re-raise? Because it looks like Dim's range is kind of weak in this spot, or does he just go for all of it? I think you find with like a lot of better players, they go for all of it in spots like this because they actually find bluffs. I mean, not every spot like this, but I mean, he's obviously going to raise here for value, but it's just a question of like, does he go for the small size or does he go big? So he goes small here because he feels like maybe he's getting more value and more hero calls. Whereas if he shoved, he thinks he's getting too many folds. So I think that was nicely played by both people. That spot. Vogelsang with the ace-7 in the cutoff. Welcome back, Jeff.
Thank you.
You're not on video,
No.
but you're on.
Okay.
Yeah, but we can hear you.
Oh, there we go. Okay. Yeah,
Now I'm Jeff. I'm Jeff.
Little switcheroo. I see.
Yeah, you want to be Mike?
There we go. We can switch it up. I see no one busted.
Yeah. Didn't miss anything. Oh no, you did miss a crazy hand, dude. Dims had aces. He opened. Arsenii flatted right next to him off of 20 bigs with ace queen. Everyone else folded. The board came queen 10x and they got it in on the flop and it ran out a straight to chop with aces. So Arsenii chopped with aces when he flopped a top pair queen with an ace kicker. Oh. And it ran out of straight. So he's like living on borrowed time right now.
Who was that? I'm sorry. Who was on borrowed time?
Okay. So Dims opened aces. Yep. Arsenii flatted next to him with ace queen off instead of 3-betting off of like 29 bigs.
Okay.
And the board came queen high and they got it in on the flop and it ran out of straight. They chopped.
Wow.
Drawing like dead. Yeah.
That's exciting. That's an exciting run out. That's something you don't see every day. Look at chess clock. Everyone pretty healthy. 3 minutes though for Vogelsang, and Lisflower 5 minutes is, again, no one's super critically short. Blinds are up 40, 80K. And this has been, I mean, again, 2 hours, almost 2 hours in, 6 left. It's up there on the slower side, but as you said, it does kind of bottleneck, and there are some shorter stacks. Blinds are still 40, 80 loud, sub 20 blinds. Stuff will start moving. And D1NZ VOZ, he is your chip leader, and he is using the chips to go for it. Ace deuce off, ace 8 gonna call. He is gonna outflop ace 8. 7-3 deuce. Definitely a board where Vogelsang, knowing the players can open pretty wide, can feel okay. Also does have 2 overs, although 1 we know not valid, would make 2 pair for D1 ZVO2, and he is going to come out small bet 20%.
Yeah, I think this is a mandatory. I'm afraid to guess. It seems like a pretty clear call to me. Or, I mean, I guess he could turn this hand into a check raise. That wouldn't make too much sense. But considering he decided to not shove this pre-flop, I think his hand is under-repped enough and has enough equity against his c-betting range, and he's beating enough hands where he's got to continue against a small bet. On this board. Against another... This is so interesting that he just decides to bet again. So he's just like leveraging the stack sizes here. He doesn't even need to go big. He just bet a 3rd pot as his double barrel. I think that was nicely played. And it's set up a SPR of 1 on the river. And now he has kings. So it's setting up nicely for Dims. Yeah, the effective stacks has shifted like completely now, right? At 80K big blind, I mean, we have a bunch of people with less than 25 bigs, and Dims has all the chips. So it could go a lot of different ways here. People could bust really quickly, or this could take forever and everyone tries the ladder. But I think given that this is a fairly small prize pool for this tournament, we could see some fireworks and people going for it, trying to give themselves a chance for, you know, getting heads up or getting the W. This is interesting now that he has the chip lead, but he's out of position. Does he choose to just put the pressure on with a hand like this? And then we'll see how Arsenii wants to proceed with a hand like 7-8. He just turns it into, I mean, he's just such a savage. Such a savage. Goes for the 3-bet fold here. Like he's not worried about blockers too much in this spot. He knows that Dims is going to be punishing very wide as the chip leader there. And he's willing to expand his 3-betting range because there's not going to be a lot of flats. So he's not too worried about having a blocker or is he suited, these types of things. He's like, I can just 3-bet fold here because we're not going to a flop very often. I am a bit curious to see if okay, so Chris does go with the bet. I was wondering if he ever checks this back, or if he has backdoor flush draw, does he check it back, or? But he just goes with equity denial, small bet. I mean, if Liz showed his hand with Queen 10, Chris would be happy to get a fold from Queen 10 or a quarter pot, just for the denying any pot share that his opponent has, which was about 25% there. Or 20.
Hold on, give me 1 second. I feel like I heard my like oven pop on in this place. I'm at, hold on, it's super weird.
Sure. I got you. If Dims folds, we'll probably see an open from Arsenii here, and then the rest of this hand is going to be determined by how aggressive Liz wants to play from this spot.
Man.
Oh, I think he's considering shoving. Okay, so he goes with the min raise. Interesting. Yeah, I wonder if that could actually be a shove, or what hands would shove in that spot into 2016 and like 14. Again, Dims opens pretty wide, as he should, as the chip leader. Gets flatted by Arsenii here right next to him with the 8s. He didn't want a 3-bet fold. He didn't want a 3-bet call. He didn't want to shove, so he lands on call. And now this will be, again, another decision point where, okay, against a check, this hand plays out totally differently. But if Arsenii bet, we might have seen Dims check raise with this hand. I think this was a nice check back though. So let's see if he can find a way to show down. It's going to be tough. Yeah, pretty big bet.
Wow, big bet. Yeah, it's impressive. I mean, just recognition with what he's got. Maybe intention to bluff the diamond too. Gets called, but I mean, just I'm impressed. D1NZ VOZ's played very well from what I've seen. Some really good decisions, sizings. Does have control of the game right now. And these are always tricky, right? The ace, the weak ace, and the big blind you're covering, but it's 6-handed. It's like, do you defend? We see people turn this into a bluff sometimes, and now just call ace-3 off, 7-8-4. Going to favor the big blind here. I mean, not a lot of 5-6 or even low pairs, right? I don't know. Maybe with 2.2 million is the opening. I guess 4s. I don't know. 6-handed under the gun, but it's like, yeah, ace-3 off. Going to check.
one of the benefits of just calling in these spots for experienced players is like the hand, even though Arsenii is pretty aggressive, I think you still get to realize equity, and you can end up over bluffing from the big blind here and getting like a lot of folds that you wouldn't get in chip EV. But because he is kind of securely in third in chips, and everyone else is like, besides Klodnicki, everyone else is pretty short. I think you find the hand plays out pretty straightforward a lot of the time. So you get to realize the equity of your hand, and also you can overbluff spots like this. I mean, this is a fantastic bet. Maybe it's not. Yeah, go ahead.
The sizing too. I mean, it's really just puts you in the full blender. You call, it's like SPR's one on the river. You call your, oh my goodness, he goes for it. A brick river in theory, right? The king is not really a relevant card. This is going to be interesting. They've got some history here too.
The turn sizing is designed to fold out this hand, ace queen. So when he calls the turn, I think Dims has a really hard time following through here. And Dims knows that he can just check back and show this hand down, because a lot of the hands that are going to do that are going to be 5x, 6x, hands like 9-10, 9-6, you know, straight draws, gut shots. But because it's really interesting, because when he chooses that sizing, I don't think he has a 7 very often. And then I don't know that he chooses that sizing with an 8 or a 4. So like he kind of only has draws. It's kind of a weird spot. And in chip EV, I don't even think it's that hard of a call for ace queen. I think there's enough draws where you can just flick it in on the turn. But in ICM EV, it is so much harder to defend in these spots. It is so much harder to find the call there with ace queen. So props to him for really recognizing that situation for what it was. And when he decides to check back the flop with the ace queen, he kind of has to like defend the turn sometimes, even to a big bet, because his hand is face up. So he's going to need to keep him on his toes and not get bluffed out of his shoes by defending to some of those big turn bets.
Yeah, I mean, D1 NZVOZ, your chip leader, is showing he's not afraid. Really tough stacks now for vogelsang, Pedro, and Liz. They're all kind of getting shortish, and he's going to put some pressure on here. Pedro thinking what to do, closing the action. ICM super massive right now with 3 other short stacks. You can see the difference between 4th and, I mean, 6th right now to go out versus, let's say, 4th, 6th, 5th, 4th, those 3 kind of lined up there. He does decide not to defend. What are your considerations when you're going to defend there if you're Pedro or not? Do you like the fold with Jack 3 suited? Is it just too dicey to call and get in a weird spot?
Yeah, these are not chip EV spots. Like, you have to be really mindful of the playability of your hands, just because it's suited. And if you look in, the chip EV charts on GTO Wizard, it will say like defend all suited hands. These are not chip EV spots. So you need to be really mindful of the hands that you play. And just as a general rule, when you're shallow like this, as a couple of these players are at this point, you want to play your hands aggressively. You don't want to be the one that's just like calling, and you can't check call a lot of flops. You have low visibility. The hand just doesn't play well, Jack 3 suited, right? So a lot of those like 9-3 suited, Jack 3 suited, like these types of hands where in chip EV you would call, you kind of just let them go or turn them into bluffs. So you're not defending the big blind as wide. That's why you see at final tables.
Well, Pedro takes it here, an ace queen off, a lot of hand covering 1.3.
He's not folding.
Yeah,
he can just call. Right. He can just call here and fold to a back shove. But I think he's going to click it. I think I would just click here. I think I would just min click it for Chris. He can't fold this hand. I don't think. I mean, Arsenii, he knows, is capable of opening wide. Pedro is capable of taking this spot, not necessarily super thin, but I mean, this is a spot where Chris is only risking a third of his chips to really change this final table. I don't know,
He's
dude.
risking half his chips, right?
I mean, yes. Yes, but Arsenii has to have the actual nuts to put the money in. So usually Chris is just running it against Pedro there. You know
Yeah,
what I'm
no,
saying?
but Pedro had 1 point whatever 3 or something, right? Or 1.1. It was more
Oh,
than a
did
third.
he? I
Yeah,
thought he only had 1 million. Or like,
no,
okay.
yeah, it was more. It was definitely more. But
I understand the fold. I just think it's like a little bit on the tight side. But you know what? Like maybe he feels like ace queen off is a fold and ace queen suited is the bottom for him there. Like it could have just been like that kind of spot. Again, we're seeing that Chris is extremely mindful of how many chips he has and his stack utility, what he can do with the chips. So in those close spots, he's now multiple times passed, right?
yeah,
You with me,
yeah,
Jeff?
true. I'm shocked actually at some of the hands I've seen. Like I've honestly seen some like this has been some of the more noteworthy hands today. To be honest, I've seen like so many. They started off with that Queen 10 suited hand where it was just like that was a high level hand. I think I've had the most notes or most interesting hands today than any other final table, which is saying a lot. And I say there's a lot of interesting spots and hands, but today it's been very, very interesting. I think a lot of high level play thoughts and some interesting board runouts in particular. Just how the cards have come out and really put some people in some really thinking positions.
Yeah, the sick thing is that that queen 10 hand at the beginning of the final table, I actually really like the four bet. He ran directly into it because like it's a great spot for Vogelsang to put a lot of pressure on him where he's going to be over folding. And he had a hand with decent properties for four bet fold and just he ran into kings and then had a 10 high board. So it's just like so many things, but he didn't go broke, you know? So it was a really like intricate, high level, but also just beautiful hand by both players. I think they both like stepped out there and were willing to kind of go for it, but also, we're a little bit careful. So Arsenii punishes the open here with the eights. Pretty normal. I think this is a really nice raise fold here. I think Vogelsang should find it. Yeah. With the ace nine. Had he folded, we would have definitely seen Chris open the 9-10 suited, but now we have this is the power of opening off of the stack size is like he has king 9 suited on the button here and he kind of just has to fold. Granted, he was directly dominated by the ace 9, but you don't want anybody to VPIP there when you have the ace 9. You just want it to get through. You don't even want the big blind to call.
Where did it really turn for Vogelsang? Because he was chip leader in control for a bit. I'm trying to think where the hand he sort of lost traction. Was it he played a big pot?
I don't think he
He had
did.
like 5.2. Didn't he have 5.2?
I can't recall off the top of my head, but it just seemed like he lost a bunch of like small, medium-sized pots. Like he didn't lose a big pot.
This is not a good spot for him too, because Arsenij's just waiting to snap this shove all in, and I mean Vogelsang is kind of right in that awkward spot. He does just call, maybe finds a way.
He's the best, dude. I would have for sure lost my chips there. I would have definitely jammed over Arsenii. Like the guy's opening wide. As soon as Dims folds, we know that Arsenii is capable of going for it and opening wide. He's the guy that you want to punish with these like light jams, or light three bets even. And I can't believe that Vogelsang, as the shortest stack, doesn't find the shove there. And I'm not saying he's wrong or right. I'm just surprised. Like this is the difference between him and I.
That's right. The ace king to nine. That was a 4.2 million chip pot. I remember that. That was the one 4.2. That was big. So he had over 3 million at that time, 3 and change.
Okay, yeah.
It was a good call there.
Right. He 3-bet called against Arsenii. Right.
Yeah, ace king, top of the range, fake flip. And I mean, yeah, this is sort of bizarre spot where at the same time, you know, vogelsang also could have just shoved it in pre. To be fair, if he does call here and get to a river and make a decision, you still have 700-ish thousand and potentially have the best hand and not be all in dominated. He also could hit a 4 or an ace if he calls. So there's some price within it. And then he's just thinking, does he have the best hand enough? And will he get to call and show it down? There's a lot of things to think about.
I don't like you really don't like in vogelsang spot to be calling 240K here. Like he's considering raising or folding. I don't think he wants to call because like the visibility of this spot again, like how do you play rivers in this spot? And does he have the best hand enough? And can he get the delayed c betting range to fold if he just decides to take an aggressive line here? Like, so he just decides to fold. So again, we're seeing this now from Chris, Klodnicki, and we're seeing it from vogelsang of like in these really close spots, they feel like their edge is big enough and they can navigate any stack size to the point where they're just not putting the money in the marginal spots. They're just not doing it. This should be, I think he's in these exact positions. We could see him 3-bet call here, but this is 100% a raise.
Yeah, they're too short. I think he's just going to rip it. No, I mean, is it because he's going to call up? You think he has 3? I guess 40, 80. What's it? 80, 20. It's like 13, 14 blinds.
I think he might go small here.
Just to induce, yeah. Maybe he's got enough hand and not worried about getting peeled a lot.
Yeah, this goes back to like the olden days of like the small 3-bets and stuff. But generally, like you can't 3-bet fold to people off of these stack sizes. But he knows that Pedro knows that, so maybe he wants to fake that he has some 3-bet folds. But he's so high up in his range with the ace queen, like he wants to induce some bluffs from Pedro. And there, Chris just snap folds small blind, like not interested in even putting in 25K chips or 50K chips, like not interested in playing out of position against a chip leader. Just like, I don't want my 4 or 5 to 1. This is like extreme recognition of how final tables play out and what the chips are worth. So we're seeing this exact same spot. Liz opens just like vogelsang opened under the gun with the ace-9. But we're not going to see Arsenii folding this hand.
Yeah, I mean, it sucks that it's only like 11, 10 bigs behind, but at the same time, yeah, 6, 7 suits, so much playability. Does flop the flush draw. Actually, as you know, so hard to make a pair. Hard to just check rip in a 7-hat flush draw as we see.
Very hard
to do, but he's obviously not folding. Is there merit to just ripping it? Yeah, to get a hand like something like this. Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting to bet ace-9 off there. I mean, I guess, right? Just deny equity.
Range advantage.
Yeah.
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 Like it's just ace-9 is a bluff to begin with in that spot. You're raise folding. And so
right.
like,
yeah. Because exactly check there and then their turn comes, whatever. It's like I mean, I don't know. Maybe your opponent gives some credit that you would check back some big hands there, but I don't know. That was interesting and nicely done by Arsenii. He's played really well. He's been really tough today too.
Arsenii?
He's been relentless, yeah.
Yeah. The 6-7 is naked aggression. It's like, look, if I can get this guy to fold ace-10 here or ace-jack here ever, if this guy's c-betting jack-10, he's not going to call it off, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So that's really interesting that he actually found the check shove. I thought he might have check called on that board as well, and then maybe bluffed some, turn or rivers. But this is interesting. They both have it. All right. While they play this hand out, I'm gonna hit the bathroom real quick. I'll be back.
All right, and Christoph Vogelsang 34 million lifetime earnings in Germany. Pretty crazy. Behind, who, Mr. Fedor. It's got 40+ mil. It is wild to see some of this. Who would have thought here? Jack 9, both with the 1 and 2 stack. I mean, they both are thinking about what could go wrong here. And as it turns out, there's no free roll of any kind. Arsenii thinking, does it make sense to just get it in to play, to try to take it down here, raise, or to see a safe one, maybe let your opponent bluff? Also, somehow it gets scary. You don't get, yeah, something couldn't go awry. But I mean, I can assure you it's not necessarily about tanking. He's thinking about what are the options. Do I want to call? Do I want to raise here? Do I want to run it against King Jack of Hearts? Or, whatever, some kind of hand that is vulnerable. There's all kinds. That's why poker's so fun. A lot of considerations. And does call, and that actually, does change things a bit. Ace King of Hearts, King Nine of Hearts, Ace King. I don't know. There's some hands that you're losing to. But still, you do have a 9. Hearts don't get there. It goes for it. And honestly, the merit, the shove here is so sick that you actually might get the 9 to fold, which he does call. All right, chop it up. But man, pretty sick hand. 50-50, no other outcomes. Wild hands. All right, Ace-7 suited, 6-3, 10-8. Not much hands all around. Chip leader going to go ahead and open. Just saw a big pot, but both had the nuts on the turn. I'm sorry, on the flop. Turn, not the nuts, but did call it off. Ace-7 suited, King-3 off. I mean, this is where the risk premium, you are the shortest, second shortest stack, starts getting interesting. Christoph going to decide to fold. These 3 are very short. We are a little over 2 hours, 15 in. Hope you're enjoying the show. Appreciate everyone watching. You guys can go ahead and click that thumbs up if you're enjoying. That'll be the first part of the giveaway. We will cue that up here shortly. Michael Wasserman joining us again for the commentary, 4th time on the show. I think 4th time guest ever, at least during my tenure here on the GG Millions. 7s, Queen 9 going to pair. The rich likely getting richer here. And Michael, if you would, can you let them know, where can people do coaching or involve in what you have going on in your program? I know you do a lot of different activities, and you have a lot of different studying and courses and whatnot. Where can people go ahead and join or reach out to you to get in touch if they want to have some of your services?
Yeah, on my Twitter profile, you can click on the link to Gumroad, and that's my training site where you can stream my videos and stuff. And there's a free 1-hour video about the biggest mistakes in low and mid stakes tournaments. You can just enter your email and you can watch that free video. It's like a little bit over an hour long. And yeah, you can email me at strungoutcoaching@gmail.com if you have any questions. Or
can I ask you? I got to interrupt you. What
sure.
Strung out? And you seem like you're such a mentally strong and positivity strung out. Though, where is this username from? This sort of seems like a crazy term to have. What does that mean?
Yeah, it's a band. I mean, I have the tattoo on my arm here.
All right. Okay. So
it's a punk band that I grew up listening to. And then it was my name on Stars, and on Full Tilt was Strung Out. It's a little bit like, teenagery. Yeah, if I could, yeah, I changed my name on my Instagram to just my name, and I'll probably eventually just change it all over to my name. But for now,
I didn't know that was a band. I didn't know that. What kind of music? It's like heavy metal stuff, like System of a Down.
Punk with metal influence and some pop influence, I guess, a little bit.
Nice.
Yeah.
Very cool. All right. Well, I didn't know that. There we go. That answers the question. And yeah, please do that. Reach out. We appreciate again Michael's drop. I see the comments. People very excited. They get the analysis. They feel the knowledge here. And there's been a reason he is a 4-time guest. And I'm going to dive into WSOP. So probably won't see you again until after. I'm actually going to be coming out to World Series of Poker. Going to time around the main event, which day to start. Have you decided which day to play?
It's fun. Every year this question comes up. Every year, right? Is it A? Is it D? If it's D, then you got to, back to back to back to back. And if it's, I'm going to play it by ear, but I think
Yeah.
I'm more likely to play A this year than I ever was before because I'm intending on skipping some of the events right before, and just really just getting some sun, making sure I exercise, making sure I feel good, doing
Hold
a
that
mental.
thought. The
Yeah.
taxi cab, King 10 up against Kings. Pedro, the first to put at risk from the short stack party of 3. He is going to be out. That is drawing dead on the turn, almost a
Yep.
straight. It's not. And,
Almost.
Pedro, who came in 91 big blinds to start the day, was chip leader, goes on 6. Definitely a disappointing showing to take away just under 100K, 96, about 10 buy-ins. I mean, nothing to sneeze at, but chip leader, a lot of pressure coming to final table. Never, things don't always go swimmingly. You don't always get to just cruise to top 3 or 4. And here we see the case of that goes out in the 6th place. And if I'm not mistaken, I think Pedro had one final table before and did win it, I believe, if I'm not wrong. It was actually in this season. So he had one final table, took down first before, and with 27 appearances, 2 cashes, and 2 final tables now, 1 win and 1 6. So it seems to play a little bigger go for poker, right? Based on those results, sort of playing big pots and going for the win. Does get the chip lead at this final table. It doesn't finish it out as we are down to 5 remaining. Was that accurate? Would you say Pedro goes for it a little bit? I don't also remember exactly the hand where he had some adversity, but he never really asserted himself as a chip leader.
Well, he went for it against vogelsang at the beginning, right? With the queen 10. He recognized that he was second in chips and vogelsang should have like a decent amount of 3-bet bluffs there. So his queen 10 fell into the category of 4-bet fold, one of his 4-bets, because he felt like otherwise he's just going to get wrecked by vogelsang if he's just raise folding everything. And that was just, I mean, crippled. Like he had 1 million chips after that. He started the hand with over 3 million. So he just couldn't quite recover. I mean, on the bright side, he got some ladders, not the worst thing ever, but yeah, couldn't quite recover from that one. So Arsenii, like I said at the beginning, or earlier, I was saying like his play style is extremely effective at final tables. I'll just leave it at that. So he hung it out there a couple times, and the chips came back to him. Like the ace queen, he didn't do anything wrong. He just got coolered. Somehow the board ran out of straight, and now he's second in chips. Like, this is how you stay in tournaments, and this is how you win tournaments. Like, you have to get lucky at some point, most of the time. And that was a spot where he found a way to hang on, or the poker gods found a way to let him hang in there, and he could very well end up heads up.
Yeah, it's a crazy run out.
This is where you're going to see people's experience really shine through from this point on. Like Klodnicki's ability to play post flop and read hands, like winning with ace jack high there. The spots that vogelsang takes off of 6.5 bigs. Like, I'm very interested to watch from here on out. It's not boring. Just because there's some short stacks we're waiting for him to bust. Like, let's see what he does. I mean, look at Liz here, making it 3.5x. Like, he could have just gone all in. I like noticing these small things.
Yeah, as it turns out, pretty good flop, has the best hand still. Not a great flop. He's going to have to fade the diamond king 10, but does have a wheel draw. Does have the best hand through the flop with most of the money in. So see if he can hold on. I mean, I guess king 10 diamonds has a lot of equity where we got net 15 outs twice. So going to be a favorite even. It's welcome card for Liz. Now has to fade a diamond or a jack. King not enough. And that is a double for the Brazilian Klodnicki. Going to take a little hit, not a lot of chips there, but it does add up now over 10 blinds for Liz. As Klodnicki will be back to work on the button with the ace 10 off. Still 2 very short stacks. Nikki with 25. And then the 2 big stacks over there have been those guys have tangled a lot. They have really tangled a lot.
notable. He went 2.2x here instead of pure min. I don't know if that's what his sizing has been, but if I was at this final table, you bet I'd be very aware of open sizings. Like if Klodnicki opened pure min, I think you might find a lot more creativity from Arsenii in the big blind. What were you going to say, Jeff?
Yeah, it's a good point. That it does matter on the sizing and the time and the spot. Here we go, 7-9 with the club. Gonna go ahead and attack on the king of clubs. Very aggressive bet. You're out of position.
It's only a 35% pot though, but it really sets up the river. Wow. I mean, because he can't have a 7 here, like he's just gonna shove because it just doesn't make any sense. But like, I don't know how he has trip 7s there. Like if I'm Klodnicki, like that's not even a thought in my head that he's leading any 7x besides like king 7.
Well, yeah, it's been a very interesting final table. Still 5-handed. Appreciate everyone watching. We are going to see, again, Juan Dominguez was in there. Christoph vogelsang here today.
Is Arsenii hello Toddy? Someone said in chat. I'm going to look that up. That would make a lot of sense. That would make a lot of sense. Arsenii. Looking him up, Jeff.
Take a peek. We know most of these players pretty well. That's one I'm not as familiar with. Like I said, does have a good closing ratio once making the final table, as took down before, and now is your chip leader.
Yeah, dude.
Gonna shove here, I imagine.
Arsenii is hello Toddy on stars. Yeah. That makes sense. So from Russia, ranked 6th all time in caches online. Okay. Now we're cooking with gas.
This is a name that does. I remember even the avatar from the Stars days. I played a lot with Hello Toddy, and that is vogelsang down to 1:23 in his clock. Thinking about the 6 blinds here, queen off, knows that Arsenii's going to be shoving pretty much any 2, and then the question is queen 8 off. Do you want to roll the dice with queen high? And then he happens to be slightly behind. Also, the ladder, what's the difference between 5 and 4? Give you a better shot for the future game. Vogelsang really using clock here.
Yeah, it's interesting, right? He's not incentivized to use his clock here, so he's really thinking about it. And obviously, he knew this is hello Toddy the whole time.
Wow. He's going to call queen 8 behind. King deuce off, see a flop. Clean for king deuce, 71.82% favored on the turn. Woo! A little bit of equity, straight draw, a little sweat, a little something to the river. Ooh, 3 across. That is 3. That's something. 7. Wow. Thought it was. That is a knockout. GG's. Everyone excited to see Christoph go home, who's not here. Again, 34 million roughly in live earnings. Number 2.
I'm not.
Fedor. Yeah. It's just someone who knows how to execute on the game, and we're going to see the ace-3 raise, 2 10s, 2 chip leaders, kind of realizing the other 2 players very short. A lot of money up between 4th and 2nd. So if you got 10s, you just call. Makes sense. Ace-3, 1 over, play coy. Yeah. Pretty good flop for 10s. The 1 over, king 8-4.
Just keep bluffing, Toddy. Give the chips to Dimvos. I don't want to owe Jeff this dinner. I want the dinner to be mutually decided upon.
Well, it's $50 and $100 for the audience. We're going to queue up the giveaway here very shortly. It could go down to 3-handed or heads up quickly, even with 2 short stacks, 10s, ace-3. That is an equity pickup on the turn, 1.4 in the million. Arsenii.
I think you might find Toddy finding the double barrel here. This is one of the few, pretty clean double barrel cards for this hand. Okay, decides to check back. I'm telling you, I put myself out there. I try to guess, but these guys, they keep me on my toes.
Now 10s. We saw some very interesting bets in different spots here, though. The ace-3 and decides against it. Didn't feel like there was much of a story there. How does the giveaway work? Well, first you gotta hit the thumbs up if you enjoy the stream. That is, of course, only do that, and then we'll give a keyword in the chat, so you can type that in along with your GGPoker username, which I will queue up here very shortly. I will have a tweet on my Jeff Gross Poker pin tweet. It looks like I had Badrin. He must have fallen asleep or something happened because he said he was putting up like beginning of the show. He didn't, and I am on a mobile setup. Didn't get that out, but we will get that. We can put it up anyway, even later. It won't be live now, but we'll put it up. Make sure it's 50 there. Here we go. Top two versus middle pair. And
I forgot to retweet. I'm gonna retweet.
Well, I didn't get it up. That's I didn't get tweet up today. That was Vadrian said he was putting it in. So I'm saying we can get up later. I'll have to maybe put the winning hand or something. Still give a giveaway out there. Cool. We'll put something up afterward as the 10. Pretty bad card for 9 deuce. Just gonna slow down. Actually, it's gonna save him probably some money. And big bet from Jack 9. Nine deuce drawing dead, right? Yeah, 9 or deuce no good. Wouldn't. Yeah, I'm just gonna get out of the way. That is how the giveaway works. Good question. Appreciate everyone being here. Let us know where you are in the world watching. I am in Paris. I think Mike is Vegas or on his way to Vegas. Not Vegas yet, right? Soon Vegas, West Coast.
Vegas bound. Very
Vegas
soon.
Bound. Anyone in the chat going out to the WSOP, let us know. Please say hello when you're out there too. I always like to see familiar faces, and I know people going for their first bracelet and maybe a few for more, but it's an exciting time at a great venue and just feels exciting. I do get FOMO for sure watching updates and familiar faces and events that I love, but like I said, man, I got the 2 little kids, and I like your strategy. That's where I've kind of gone in the last few years. Less events, more focused, more excited. Had my best main event run last year, actually doing that.
Nice.
Second best deep, and it's nice, man. It is. I really do look forward to it when I'm there, not the whole time. I'm just kind of like really into it.
What day did you make? How far?
I think it was day. I got day 5. I got 240 or 50. I think I forget what day. It might have been 6. I think it's 5. I'm pretty sure it's day 5. It wasn't.
That's day 5.
Yeah. It wasn't 6, but the room does start getting small when you get to that.
I know. I think day 5 is where you really actually realize, like, oh,
yeah,
I could do this.
Someone's gonna win. Yeah.
It's like palpable, right? You walk in, you're like, we're already deep into the money. We're not just in the money. We're deep into the money, and now
it's exciting.
I've made day 5 twice. Yeah.
Okay. Nice.
And you know, I've learned so much from those runs. The first time I made day 5 was the first time I played the main event. And then the second time was in 2015. And I ended up on day 5. I just didn't get enough sleep. I wasn't thinking as clearly. I knew that was coming, still couldn't avoid it. And I attacked an early position open from Anton Morgenstern. I was like, this dude's just opening anything. And I 3-bet way too wide. And like, he just looked at my stack size and just like put all his big chips in. And I was like, I'm such an idiot. Like, and then I like shortly after ran ace 10 to aces and I was out and I was like, what am I doing? Like, why did I attack his open? Like, I didn't need to do that at all.
That Morgenstern video where about like the German, you've seen that video? Have you ever seen this?
I don't think so. I'll check it out though.
You got to Google. It's like Anton Morgenstern blow up WSOP. It's like they take like a famous Germany movie, like where Hitler's giving like a speech in this, like, it's like a war movie. And it's like where he like blows up, realize everything's like unraveling. And it's like a mess. And it's like, they like, what? He was chip leader with 40 left or 30 left, and he's out in 18th, and it's like this whole thing about about Morgenstern and blowing up. I mean, it's really funny. I haven't seen it in years, but it's definitely the best poker content I ever saw. Like, it was literally like they like duped it for like Morgenstern blowing his lead, and I think he was like 1 of 27. He got like 19th or 18th or something.
Do you remember that dude, Wilhelm or something? The Wilhelm dude, like,
sounds familiar.
I can't remember what year it was, but it's like it was before 2010. I think it was before 2009. It might have been like 2007 or even like the year Jamie Gold won or year before that. And he was like 1 of 9 and he just got like ninth. The main final table was like, ugh, the worst.
It's sick. When you get the the play it through versus the break, the November 9, this like how they did this. It is just I don't know. It's kind of nice. I think that's the way to do it. Give like a few day break because it is so tiring. Like let you get you some relatives out there, get some sleep, get a fresh cut. Go get a nice spend some time. But the months off is sort of wild. You know what I mean? Like the studying and how much it changes.
Yeah.
So I think I think that's a good compromise to just be exhausted. And here we go, all in A7, King 10, the taxi, King. Hello, Toddy. Arsenii finish off Lisflower. A7 open-ended sweat. Ace is good as well. 3-1 pure favorite. River clean, three-handed. Cue the giveaway. Good game, Lisflower. So GG in the house there as we see a mix of countries here: Croatia, Arsenii, and from handling Mexico flag, although I believe Russian, and Klodnicki rocking the Canada flag. All right, keyword now. So we got who do we have left from our side? Is this another all-in? Hold on. Ace-3, King Jack off. Arsenii is doing work right now. Has to fade. 6 outs, 1 to come. Percentages displayed. River is no paint. GG heads up. All right. It's definitely time for the giveaway. Q8. Who do we have? Is this a straight up battle?
Dude, I think 3 out of the 4 times that we've done this, you and I have been heads up for the dinner. Maybe every time.
Keyword is going to be, what do you want your keyword to be today, Michael? Do you want to use a coaching thing you do? Or what are you strung out? What do you want? GGPoker. What do you want the keyword to be?
I don't know. You decide. I'm
all right.
I don't even know what would be good or bad. I have no idea.
All right. Let me all right, we'll do GGPoker. We'll just do it that way, old school. GGPoker Wasserman. Put the name out there. Let them know. People put some good energy for you.
Wassy.
WSOP. There we go. And inserts GGPoker username.
Is that Twitter?
This is going to be on. That is the keyword. It's there. A keyword above on the YouTube channel. So $50 or $100. So if Arsenii wins, it's $100 tournament ticket. If D1N wins, it's a $50 GGPoker cash ticket. Good luck, both sorts you out there. And there is Arsenii with over 10 million in earnings on GG. And D1NZ, a little more newcomer. What if we're in the US? Good question. I forgot to say that today, but that is, you can gift it to a friend or use someone else's GGPoker username. I'm sure you know someone that plays. You can gift it or split it or give them some percentage to play. And Arsenie's starting to bluff right into the wheel. Not a very...
That's what I like to see. I gotta say, like, I would take Hello Toddy here. Like, just, I would bet a lot of money he's gonna to win this heads up match. But
gonna raise.
Trying
what do you think? I'm a little surprised about that raise, but
yeah, equity denial, like charging flush draws, trying to get 2 pairs to put more money in, even though that I don't know that he would do that with 2 pair, but.
Jack 6, Queen 5, Queen 5. Best hand is going to win it. Still heads up 9 million to 7 million. This is a battle. This is going to be for a lot of money. You can see the difference between first in second. We've got 46 plus 24. So what's that? We got $70,000 heads up match. No deals. GG Millions winner take the first. There's no deals at the GG Millions. That is one of the things you can count on, and you can count to play to a winner. And Arsenii Malinov is got a decision. Queen high. He is not loving this spot. Does call the 2 overs.
Yeah, Toddy is just going to be an absolute savage. Heads up, just always bluffing.
Yeah,
I would guess. Just, I mean,
wow. I mean, 7-8. This is a not. I mean, man, such a huge bet, right? Like the 8, you're just thinking almost not going to fold many rivers. Like this particular river is sort of a brick. I guess 6-7 is a straight, but maybe you have like 9-6, 9-7. He does.
I feel like this is for the tournament. Like if he folds there, he's just going to get run over, and if he calls, he's very likely to win this. But Arsenii is going to be so aggressive that he can just win the chips back. But like that is, I'm not even going to try to break the spot down. Like that's not a play that's in my arsenal with that sizing, with that hand in that spot. So, I mean, I don't know if you have deep thoughts about that. Please share them with me, Jeff. It's one of the worst hands you can have there, I guess, besides like Jack 10.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah, that was crazy. This is to a spot where we're gonna see, let's see, the 3 spade. I mean, I don't know. Arsenii still, I like his chances still. There's still a lot of play. And he's got enough chips to play. 5 million, he's a 2-to-1 dog now.
You're a little robot-y right now, your sound. I don't know if it's me or if it's if he sounds weird, let us know in the chat. If he sounds fine, then it's just me. These guys. We don't want you having to listen to robots. We're not robots. We're humans with feelings.
I see the giveaway. The giveaway is queued up. I think the sound should be good. Let me check with the team. Good. And I got to ask about Jessica Bierling at the Commerce. Like, what's that about? What's going on with Jessica?
Oh, she won the Commerce Main, the 1700. And I went out and played that. I was actually deep in that as well. I was in for a couple bullets, but I think got like 50th or 60th. I was coaching her like 2 months before, leading up to that tournament. She came to me just to like spot check her game and to, check in, make sure she's like playing okay. And we had a really good session like the week before she went out to play the Commerce tournament. And then she went out there and shipped it, man. And
how much was that first? That's amazing.
328K. Wow. Caught again, but not a massive pot, but ace high versus king high. Yeah, 328K. She was in a big downswing before that. I just went over her 50. She won the 50 stack on GG like on a Sunday, or she got second in the 50 stack. And tell me Arsenii is just going to fold this, right? He's not going to just put more money in with the.
Wow. Man, I'll tell you,
doesn't care.
A long final table. This could end right here very easily with the 10 mil to 4 mil. He's going to peel the 5-3 suited backdoor flush draw with a pair. Hard to make a pair heads up. And D1N VOZ might have his man for the win right here. I mean, he's got 5 outs, 2 to come. Backdoor diamonds, not a part of that outs, but 5 outs pure. I mean, if it's not 5-3, never easy, Mike.
Jeff.
Never easy.
Chat is saying that your mic is bad right now. That there's an echo or something going on. Maybe try muting, unmuting, or disconnecting, reconnecting.
Well, we're about to have the last hand here. This might just be, as sorry for the mic issues, but we might have a winner right now.
Yeah, I don't think he's going to fail. I mean, he's already here.
Here we go. 10 mil in the middle. Excuse the mic, but to the river. 7% favorite to end it. And it looks like a 3 across. That is a club, and that is a 8. That is GGD1NZVOZ, your champion, hailing from Croatia. Gonna get it done, man. Beautiful first win. Rocking a nice, crazy dragon emoji. And again, apologize for the mic issue. Looks like at the end here, I don't know what happened, but Mr. Michael Wasserman, appreciate the time, and considering your mic is not bad, why don't you kind of close us out here? Tell us your thoughts on today.
Yeah, great final table. I mean, we saw a bunch of sickos get in there and battle. We didn't even know that it was Hello Toddy until like it was 3 or 4-handed. Thank you, chat, for that. Yeah, there was just some really cool spots, some really cool hands. Ones that stick out are the Queen 10 4-bet, where Pedro ended up losing most of his stack. Vogelsang played really great. You know, had he won that flip, he probably would have ended up heads up with the ace king versus 9s, but that didn't go his way. But other than that, I thought he played phenomenal. All of these guys showed that they're extremely experienced, and I think like every final table that we've gone through, I've had, and I'm sure all of you have had, plenty of opportunities to learn and see how these really talented and experienced players navigate these spots. We saw Chris Klodnicki, and there was one other, I think it was Vogelsang, didn't take the ace-9 re-steal spot against a wide opening range when he was short. And we saw Klodnicki pass on the ace-queen, and then he passed on another spot. So we saw a lot of tournament life preservation and people focusing on stack utility instead of just trying to get it all in there and try to win the tournament. So I think those are the biggest takeaways from today. What do you think?
Yeah. No, I'd say, I mean, the Queen 10 suited hand right out the gate set the tone, was pretty wild. And Vogelsang showing us class. The chip leader as well didn't get through the stretch, didn't get it done, got 6, came in with 91 big blinds, just showing you that there's no guarantees. Hands happen. And again, such a beautiful game. Sorry for the mic at the end. I have no idea why it just got choppy, but again, appreciate you, Mike. Appreciate everyone here today. Thank you so much for watching. We'll be back for another big episode next week. GG Millions will be going on during the WSOP. I will see you guys at the WSOP in the second half, and appreciate you so much. Thanks for watching. Cheers. And Mike, good luck out in the World Series. I'll see you in Vegas.
Thanks. You can follow me on Twitter at StrungOut12, and I will see you guys in Vegas. Come say hello. And yeah, good luck out there. Talk to you soon, Jeff.
Appreciate it. See you guys.